Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Rush in the gun. Through the air, 22 of 40. Drops back. Hit from behind. Ball joint free. But then it was picked up, and then it was knocked free again by Petrie. And then picked up on the play by Barnett, who went from the 20 to the 10 to the 5. Houston has scored on a fumble recovery touchdown by Derek Barnett.
Highlights like that made for Kevin Harlan on Westwood One. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Dallas Cowboys lose last night, 34-10. Perloff, a little too on the nose that a piece of sheet metal fell from the ceiling of Jerry World, as if we didn't know that the Cowboys season was collapsing.
That's a good analogy. This is total aside, but did you see they had to weld the second piece of sheet metal that was falling to the ceiling? They're a bit of a mess. But
that's solution-based.
It's so weird for the NFL to schedule a preseason game in the middle of the season. Like, did that feel like a preseason game? Like, first of all, who are these players that lining up? I think they made up a tight end on the Cowboys. I've never heard of that man in my life. And the Texans won the game big, but really didn't play well. So it felt like just a bizarre, from the get-go, you're right, 2 hours before the game, that game went off the rails.
Yeah, and you know what? Two things about it. Number one, for Dallas, we know the season's not over officially, but it's over. And I don't understand why there's going to be this hesitancy not to go to Trey Lance. I mean, there's like literally nothing else left here, unless you feel like Cooper Rush can help you evaluate pieces on your offense better. But Kenny, number one, and two, you're losing offensive linemen left and right. Yeah. I mean, everything is just going badly here. Might as well have a quarterback who can run a little bit and see what you have there.
You don't want to evaluate Brevin Spann-Ford, the tight end who got 5 targets, or Luke Schoonmaker who got 10 targets, or you go down this list, Ryan Flournoy.
Flournoy.
Yeah, he's, by the way, great in preseason, but this is generally, this season, you said the season's not technically over. It's technically over.
Yeah.
It's over. So, yeah, why aren't they going to Trey Lance? Do you have an answer for me?
I mean, you want me to get into Jerry's head? No shot. I don't know. I don't want to live in there. Yeah. It's scary in there.
Cooper Rush made about 10 really good throws and 10 god-awful throws.
Yeah, and it's like the thing about CeeDee Lamb. Lamb had a couple nice catches last night, 8 receptions, 93 yards on 12 targets. But, again, we get it. Mm-hmm. It's not Dak. It's Cooper Rush. So when he throws behind you, we don't need the big arms in the air, like, the bad body language and stuff like that.
Who did that, CD?
Yeah. It's a mess. It's a mess. And what's crazy? Yeah. It felt like it was a Texans home game. We'll get to the Texans side of this. It sounded like it. They mentioned it in the broadcast. It was all Texans fans. Obviously, you don't have to travel very far between Houston and Dallas. But, I mean, not just that. The Dallas home field advantage just has disappeared. Yeah. 5th straight home game where they lose by 20 or more points.
When's the last time that happened? I know the answer.
Go ahead.
Never.
Yeah.
It's the worst
first time ever.
First time in NFL history that the Cowboys are doing that.
Is that building cursed? You got to need some Kyrie Irving sage in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some kind of medium.
But I think it's unfair to even blame like one person, like the falling sheet metal, Cooper Rush, CeeDee Lamb. How about the fake punt that got sniffed out and fell apart? How about the double strip sack that we started? Is that called a double strip sack? I don't even know what to call that. Where that we started the show off with.
Yep.
There were so many little things that went wrong, and yet somehow 34-10, that was not a 34-10 game. The Cowboys were right there. They had exactly the same number of yards, basically, as the Texans did last night. They just found a way to screw up everything.
But that's really what broke the game open, ultimately. And then for the first time in 5 games, the Texans were able to actually score a touchdown in the second half of an NFL game.
Yeah,
This offense
not
is
good.
just not. It's not what I thought it was going to be.
Well, they're actually kind of conservative. I mean, if you look in the red zone, one reason C.J. Stroud does not really drop back in the red zone much. It's almost handoff, handoff, handoff. Bobby Slowick loves a handoff on early downs. It killed them last year in the playoffs. I'm not sure. I don't blame Stroud. He had one interception last night, but it was a fourth down play. It was a terrible throw. I don't know what happened to him, but it wasn't really an interception because they would have turned it over on downs. They're just a very conservative team. I think it's a DeMeco Ryans going back to 2019 San Francisco kind of play. Like they just want to play defense and hammer you. And eventually that defense just took over the game.
Yep.
I was surprised it took them that long.
Well, you need some, injuries on the offensive line for the Cowboys. And then without your starters out there, Cooper Rush can't get away from anything. He's not going to get away from Daniil Hunter. Like that's just a mismatch.
But the funny thing, in the first half, Cooper Rush had all the time in the world. He was just sitting back there, which was weird because Zach Martin came in the game really hurt. Terrence, you know what the problem is? I keep on reading Cowboys writers. Terrence Steele is having the worst season of any lineman in the league, and he's their veteran. So it's just a mess. And somehow, Houston, you're right. There's just something a little bit off. They'll probably win that division because it's the AFC South.
Yep.
They just don't feel like a real AFC contender right now.
No, I don't see them as a Super Bowl team. And granted, listen, Nico Collins was out for a lot of games. He's back. They lost Stephon Diggs for the season. Will Anderson is out right now. You're Mixon missed a few games. So you've had guys shuffling in and out of the lineup. But again, maybe there's an extra gear.
Well,
and they
you
start
saw
hitting their stride at the end of the season.
I mean, you saw the game open up with a 70-yard touchdown by Nico Collins. It was called back for stupid illegal man downfield. Like Nico Collins seems to be the special sauce. And I don't have the snap percentage, but he disappeared for a huge chunk of the first half. Then came back and was awesome. So maybe that's like they need their number one receiver to be really functioning.
Sure.
And obviously, it would be nice to have Stephon Diggs too.
Well, he's out for the season, unfortunately.
Yeah.
That's a blow.
I think that's maybe we're underestimating the impact of the Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs injuries. I mean, that's a lot of teams. If you lose your 1A and your 1B, you would be struggling.
Well, lucky for them, Nico's back. They do still have Tank Dell. And they've got Mixon, who looks healthy, and he was effective last night.
Yeah.
So.
Mixon is good, not great. I will say that too. Like he's a high volume runner. He broke a couple long ones. He had a 45-yard run, and then he'll go down the line a lot of times. 20 carries, 109 yards, a big chunk of it on one play.
So here's the other thing let's talk about this from the Cowboys' perspective for a moment, because the Texans, they're going to move on. They have everything in front of them. They've got so much to play for. Maybe you and I aren't as impressed about the offense, but again, they've had a lot of injuries. So now we're looking at the long goodbye here for this season of the Dallas Cowboys. This is going to be some painful stuff. And maybe there's a couple more wins on the schedule. You got to play the Giants. You get to play Carolina. Maybe there are some wins here, but it doesn't matter. At this point, you really want to be going for the highest draft pick possible. Here is Jerry Jones. Manny, can I get cut 18, please? Jerry Jones rejecting the notion that Mike McCarthy has lost the locker room.
Well, I can tell you in there right now with the kind of careers a bunch of those guys have, kind of the prospects of their futures, the competitors they are, I don't worry 1 ounce about losing anything as far as in the family of losing a team.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They were giving effort last night. They lost 34-10. I don't think the effort, Perloff, is a problem, but quite frankly, I just can't tell the difference because they're not. It doesn't look like nobody's quitting, but they're still losing. So, is there any shot Mike McCarthy gets to keep his job here? No, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I mean, I agree with you. The effort wasn't bad. Micah Parsons tried to fight his friend C.J. Stroud at the end of the game. Like he's fired up and he's obviously pretty upset at what's going on. I know people. People think that. Yeah, well, people think Parsons is not in football. Watch the speed he plays with in a fourth quarter blowout. Like that guy does not let up. I think he's a really good player. Yeah, I don't think Mike McCarthy has any chance. So you're right. You're thinking about the future, which makes the next how many games they have left, 7 games, just painful to watch. It's just going to be bad.
Yeah.
Even if you go to Trey Lance, like who's Trey Lance has an injured line in front of him and no receivers beyond CeeDee Lamb.
Still got to go to him. Got it.
Yeah, you got to go to him, but I don't think anyone has any faith that it's going to go anywhere.
Let's hear from McCarthy. How about cut 12 here, Manny? Regrets not going to Trey Lance for a series in this game.
I think the one thing I should have did at the end, and I just, I didn't do it. Was put Trey in there. I could have gotten him a series. That's one thing that I would second guess myself on.
I mean, there's a couple other things to second guess from the game. The fake punt, maybe the going for it on 4th and 2. I actually am not going to kill McCarthy for that. I think that was the right move. Okay, so that's Mike McCarthy saying he regrets not getting Trey Lance in for a series. Here's Jerry Jones minutes later. It's like SpongeBob SquarePants. 5 minutes later, here's Jerry Jones, who still thinks Cooper Rush is QB1 and gives them the best chance to win.
I think our best chance is to have Rush in here.
Okay.
And the goal is to win the game.
I mean, who are you fooling anymore? I guess you have to say that publicly, but fans are smarter these days, Perloff. I think anytime you go to a stadium, sure, you want to see your team win. But no Cowboy fan in their right mind is going to get upset if you go to Trey Lance when you're 3-7 and the season is spiraling down the tubes.
Yeah, but I think coaches and even Jerry Jones, GMs in this case, do want to win these games. You'd much rather go. I know, as a fan, you want your team to be 4-13, but as a coach, you would much rather be 7-10.
But we just established that there's really nothing that can save Mike McCarthy. We don't think at this point. And if there's any GM who's got job security, I think it's Jerry.
Right, but Jerry would have to force him to play Trey Lance because Mike McCarthy certainly wants to win these games. He doesn't want on his record. Because I'm assuming Trey Lance with this particular setup is not going to win a lot of games.
Probably not.
I mean, Cooper Rush clearly is good enough to win games. I mean, that. He saved Cooper Rush for a lot. He threw for 360 yards yesterday. I agree. I mean, he does give him a better chance to win, I'm assuming, right? Like, what do we know about Trey Lance? Trey Lance has never thrown for 350 yards in a game.
No, but I think the only chance for Mike McCarthy to get another head coaching job in this league is if somehow over these last few games, if Trey Lance turns into something. Because what is everyone in the NFL is always looking for a coach that can develop a young quarterback. And Trey Lance is still a blank slate. And yeah, he's not walking into the perfect situation, but if you can turn Trey Lance into something serviceable, I think it reinforces McCarthy's reputation for a quarterback developer.
This is a big swing you're taking there, Mag.
I'm just saying, if McCarthy wants to coach again, he's better off attaching himself to Trey Lance than Cooper Rush.
Also, he's a pure West Coast offense, like quarterback sits there and short passes down the field guy. Like Trey Lance doesn't even fit McCarthy. I think that feels a bit like a long shot. That Trey Lance is gonna get out there and ball out, and then everyone's gonna be like, oh, maybe Mike McCarthy. If somebody hires Mike McCarthy next year, the media is gonna destroy them.
No, it'll be the same thing that happens. Like if he were to develop Lance in a way that was like, wow, look at Trey Lance, he's coming along. Then take a year off, and then you come back into it with a young QB.
Yeah, as Mike McCarthy does, he watches all the game tape.
Watch every step.
I don't know. I feel like it's going to be hard for McCarthy to get back in. I think he'll have to be an offensive coordinator first. And even then, I just don't know. I think that his stock is way down right now.
Oh, it is. 855-212-4227. So a lot of changes we think are afoot for the Cowboys. How about Dak Prescott in the building last night? Guy had surgery on Wednesday in a totally different city.
Did you guys notice the brace he was wearing? I'm like, I recognize that brace. I don't know if you saw it, EJ. It's the exact same thing you were wearing when your patella tendon broke. Literally, it was like this space age brace. He looked good.
EJ, how much did that brace weigh that you were wearing when you tore up your knee?
Probably about, God, I see it every day in my house too. I don't know, maybe 10 pounds, 15 pounds.
It's not nothing.
No, it's
you look like the Terminator with that thing.
It's bulky, it's big. Now, Dak's in the good phase where, like, because you can't bend your leg that much, like, this is probably more comfortable. When he gets to the phase when he can actually, like, walk and he still has to wear it, that's going to suck.
Yeah! Here we go!
Somehow being on the crutches and not being able to move actually was more comfortable wearing the brace than when I was able to walk. Because then it slides down. It's not as strapped in as you think. It's a mess.
Well, that explains one thing. Dak Prescott looks very happy on the sideline. Like, it's like very content. I know he just got engaged this offseason and got a lot of money coming his way.
The bye week.
That was during the bye week, right, on the golf course? Yeah, I mean.
Everyone's head's in it this
season. He knows his job is safe watching Cooper Rush.
yeah. He just looked like a beacon of positivity up there. Where he watched it up high, right? No, Dak looked really good, actually. I'm like, ooh, he's going to be good next year, maybe.
We'll get into the future of Prescott and what the Dallas Cowboys can do to actually get their fans back because they're gone. It sounded like a Texans home game.
I feel like the Cowboys may be entering that weird phase like the Dave Campo, Chan Gailey years.
Yeah.
It feels like that's where we're at, where we may be like 3 or 4 years of like irrelevant football.
Yep.
Well, remember,
I think everyone would appreciate a break. Yeah.
What was it, 98, where Jerry finally relented and hired Bill Parcells?
Yeah, that was 03.
Oh, 03.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
03.
looking at it now. Yeah.
Now, maybe this is the year where he hires Bill Parcells part 2. I mean, that is like, that's one way to get everybody back on board. Don't you think?
So once every 20 years, you get a good coach.
Yeah, basically.
I'm just kidding. McCarthy's not a bad coach. It's just...
Well, once every 20 years, you get a coach who is not going to listen to Jerry. So Jerry, the fear is that, I think I've heard that Jerry hated having Parcells there because he wants to be in charge. So I think this is a desperate situation, right? Like Jerry's got to give up control.
We're beyond desperate. We passed desperate like 3 exits ago. Yeah. This thing is spiraling. Literally sheet metal falling from the ceiling. And by the way, how lucky are they that nobody got hurt?
There was a guy standing right next to it when it landed.
Apparently it was a producer from ESPN. That would have been devastating. You had 75,000 people in the building for the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight, and now you just have 85,000 or Texans fans in there last night. We're so lucky that didn't turn fatal and tragic. Come on, Jerry World.
Now you're blaming Jerry World?
I'm blaming everything.
You should have laughed at me when I said Jerry is going to give up control. That ain't happening.
No. I glossed over that.
The second I said that, I'm like, that didn't even merit a response.
It didn't even register. 855-212-4227. Okay. So that debacle last night from the Cowboys side of things. Texans get out of there with a win. Okay. We've got lots more to do. We've got a college coach who is on the hot seat, who I don't think we expected to be on the hot seat. We've got that for you and so much more. Just getting going here on this Tuesday. Welcome aboard. 855-212-4227. Maggie and Perloff.
All right, Maggie. I won big thanks to Joe Mixon last night on Prize Picks.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, this is the first thing we talk about every day. It's the best place to get real money sports action while watching football. Over 10 million members, billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. It's so fun. You get Thursday night football, Friday night college football, Saturday football, Sunday football, Monday NFL, and then we get back to NBA tonight. I just love this app so much.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. Good thing I'm going less than on most of the Philadelphia 76ers, and that's where I'm coming up big on Prize Picks. Sorry, Perloff, but this is the easiest app I've ever used. All you got to do is download it. Then you just pick 2 or more players across any sport. You pick more or less on their projection, and that's it, guys. Then you could win up to 100 times your money. Just download the Prize Picks app today. This is what's important. Use the code M&P. Some people say MAND-P. Get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code M&P on Prize Picks to get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states where it's lawful to wager. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Mand P.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. What do we got here, Manny?
Beyonce.
Oh,
Perloff.
God. This is Beyonce. I forgot
Cut
this.
his mic.
Wait, because I don't know the Beyonce country album? Get out of here.
It was announced yesterday that she's going to be performing at halftime on Christmas on the Texans. I forgot who they're playing on Christmas. On Netflix.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm aware of this. It's being pushed down my throat enough already. Yeah, so the Cowboys game last night, there were so many funny moments. To me, like, the moment that summed it up is they hit a gigantic field goal, Brandon Aubrey, to make it 20-13. I'm like, it's a touchdown game.
Yeah.
Penalty.
64-yarder.
64-yarder. Penalty. Comes back, and they go down the field, get to the 10-yard line, and don't get any points, and it's 20-10. Something about that game, it was 34-10 was the final score, and it didn't feel anything like a 34-10 game. Like, the Texans were letting the Cowboys hang around. If two things had gone differently for the Cowboys, it would have been a really close game. But which is way different last week. They totally no-showed. So I think baby steps out of this Cowboys team. That's the best I got. It's the best I got. And listen, everything's about next year now.
I know. I've got some thoughts on what the Cowboys should do next year. I feel very strongly about them. But before we get to that, and you're welcome to weigh in 855-212-4227. All right, Phil's up early in Pennsylvania. Phil, good morning.
Good morning, Maggie.
All right, it says here on the call screener, I'm doing something today that should be a show bet payoff.
It should be.
Okay.
I'm back in Texas. I'm here to pick up my wife, and once a year, I get my hair done. It is not known to me. My wife and my hairdresser do it, and I have no idea what they do to my hair until after it's done.
So could they do like an inverse mohawk?
The Friar Tuck?
Whatever they want to. I just know they're not going to cut it because my wife loves my long hair. Last year, it was in a pixelated style, like blocks, in fluorescent blue and fluorescent green. Seahawks Nation would have been proud. So, Maggie, I thought maybe for a show bet that, you guys couldn't figure out, well, it doesn't work because Kansas City already lost, you could get your hair done the same way as me, even though I don't know what it is.
Phil, first of all, no shot. I pay hundreds of dollars to get my hair done, but you might too. Wait, I'm sorry, Phil. Back it up for a second.
Mm-hmm.
How long's your hair? Is it like down to your?
My hair's about a little over a foot long.
Okay, so you look like a member of a heavy metal band.
So we need a photo of this for sure, dude.
Number one, we definitely need a photo. Number two, you get your hair done once a year?
No. He gets a special bet done once a year.
Oh, okay.
I get my hair done once a year. Actually, my wife only gets hair done by this hairdresser because I'm in Pennsylvania. We were looking for years for a person to actually do her hair, wasted probably thousands of dollars, just decided when she was in Texas to try it once, went to a lady, the owner of the shop, told her what she wanted, did it once, and half the time at about a third of the price that we were being charged per shot up in Pennsylvania. So she gets it done when she arrives and right before she leaves, twice a year.
Yeah, Phil, you've told me you kind of drive your wife to Texas so she can see her family, and you're on the road, and we were talking about Perloff's driving to San Antonio. So, and you get it dyed several colors. Is that what you said?
Oh yeah. It is not just getting a lock of hair done for a rave in Washington D.C. to avoid rush hour traffic. This is actually foil to the roots, permanent hair dye that I'll have for probably about 3 or 4 months, and then afterward it will be all blonde because you dye it blonde first.
Wait, hey, I have a question. Did you drive? How long did it take?
It took 20 hours and 11 minutes.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
No, we've talked. Phil's got the whole route
between
figured
20
out.
hours and 21 hours.
Did you go to the bathroom, Jama?
Wait, so Phil,
you stopped to get gas to go to the bathroom, so probably think you made like 4 pit stops along the way.
He's wearing a diaper. Of course he stopped to go to the bathroom.
Well, I don't know.
Snacks.
20 hours,
you can hold it for 20 hours? What are you,
I'm just saying, like, to take 20 hours, you cannot spend a lot of time in that restroom.
Wait, so Phil, you have no idea what colors your hair is getting dyed today?
Yep, we've done it for probably about the last 3 years or so. It's been a surprise every single time, and it's something fun for my wife to do, and I'm game for it, so I let her.
Wait, Phil, sorry, another question. You guys both get your hair done by the same person. Is it matching hairdos?
Oh, no.
Okay.
My wife has her own. I think she does chunks where one is like pitch black, and then the next chunk is platinum blonde, and then that's the way it is all the way around her head.
And you guys
the
are
problem
cool.
was that other people couldn't, get out the previous hair dye where it was a nice black and a nice platinum blonde. It was always, some like residual color in the blonde. They couldn't get rid of it, so it didn't look right.
Oh, Phil, you and I could do a whole separate show about this. I love talking about this stuff. That is so cool. We'd love some photos if you want to share them. We'd love to see what the final product looks like.
I do not have social media, so I'll have to have someone's phone number, and I can text a couple pictures if you want.
We got Maggie and Perloff at gmail.com. I check it every day.
I don't even have an email address.
Phil. Wait.
I just have my phone and I text. I can text you a photo.
Okay. Well, we got a number for you. We're going to put you on hold for a second.
All right.
Phil, you're dynamite, man. And I love the idea that could be a show bet. Did you guys ever do that at DP show? Someone has to just get their hair cut or hair dyed?
I don't think so.
And they have no idea what the person's going to do?
No, I don't think that ever happened.
All right. So who's going to give Phil their number? Now, I would volunteer.
We already had a long discussion about that while you guys were going on. Billy.
Jacques alone?
Yeah, or somebody out.
So I would do it, but I already got into I think the world of Phil, I don't think this would happen, but I already got into a very delicate situation where someone got a hold of my phone number and ended up being not very good. So it's not that I don't trust Phil. I just don't trust, I can't do that again, or else management and HR might be like, what are you, an idiot? This already happened one time. You can't do this again.
We don't have a generic text in line for contests. We never had something like that.
I don't think you can text images to that, can you?
Oh, probably true.
Because you know what we get a lot of.
Yeah.
What would that be?
Phil's got to get an email address, dude.
That's the other side of the story.
This is Phil.
Yeah,
Maggie and Perloff at gmail.com. That's not hard.
Once he said he didn't have an email, I almost hung up on him. Because that's 2024, brother. Let's get an email, at least.
Does Mrs. Phil have an email?
Probably not.
No, I can't imagine that she wouldn't.
Someone in his family has to have an email address.
Yeah.
All right.
social
Is Nico
media.
How'd
here
you
today?
leave it?
I told him to call back and we'll figure something out because I'm not giving him my phone number.
Yeah,
we
find
can't do it. Yeah.
We find the youngest person in the newsroom.
Manny's the newest.
That's great.
I'm afraid about Manny and Phil. They're just having each other's numbers now.
Text him your Knicks nonsense instead of me.
A lot of OG Anunoby all-star commentary.
Hey, you guys are going to be very, very upset when we look forward in February and it's the All-Star break and OG Anunoby is in Indianapolis or wherever the hell it is this year.
Send your Jericho Sims gifts to.
What a king. Did you see his dunk last night? My goodness. I digress. Keep going, you guys.
Your
That'd be the update.
Jericho Sims gifts. Sounds like a made up.
That's a Mad Libs.
I kind of want to see Phil's hair, though, don't you?
Well, it's got to happen. So my thing is like it's not urgent for us to see it today.
That's true.
Or-
It's going to last for a while.
And he always calls the show. I told him you'll call at some point and we'll figure out a plan B.
To get this photo. It's 2024. How do you get somebody a photo? Tell him, can we send him a Polaroid, like a disposable?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about all the ways that, like, I always think of all the ways, like, I can get fired. And I'm like, giving someone here their phone number is definitely something where Dave Marinick calls me in his office being like, so why do you think it was a good idea to give someone their personal number?
This is what they do. Walk us through your thought process. It's
Yeah.
like we're getting interviewed post-game and going for it on a 4th and 2. Walk us through the thought process of why you thought it was okay to give out phone numbers on the show. Again, I already had a bad experience with this, but it was many years ago. Phil's right. Do you guys know anything about when you want to dye your hair different colors, like green or blue?
Yeah, Lucy, my daughter, always goes, she dyes her hair, and she goes blonde first.
Yeah.
Peroxide or something?
First, you got to dye it platinum blonde, so it's like a blank slate, and then you dye it. I've seen horror stories with this. Women whose hair's falling out, just tough. But if you get a professional do it, they know.
Not ideal.
So, Matt, you were very much saying this will never happen for you. But you have, in the past, had multiple colored hair.
I know, and I did that once, and I was a freshman in college.
Sometimes you got to go back to the old gimmick, just like in wrestling. Every now and then, you just got to bring it back for nostalgia.
I'd be more likely to wear the onesie singlet back on here or rip my shirt off like Hulk Hogan before I'm going back to the tricolor hair. That was when
Tricolor?
I was a hair model for a day. We're going to use the term model loosely.
The hand model.
They paid me $100. It cost me $350 to fix it. And then they cut it on stage in front of a bunch of people at a hair show.
Was this a bet you lost? This doesn't sound fun.
No. Do you understand that it's like secretly every woman's dream that someone would come up to them in a mall or something and be like, "Have you ever modeled?" It's like, have
You
I?
fallen for that?
Wow, Washington, D.C. sounds fun.
Listen, I was fresh off the bus from Binghamton, okay? Like,
Golly gee, sir, I haven't.
I was like, I'm sorry, what?
I'm in
Me? Little me? I'm
Mama,
new
I
in
made
town.
it.
They're like, we want to take you to this hotel room. I was like, sign me up.
We're not
Bad
in Binghamton
ideas,
anymore,
guys.
Mommy.
Left and
Socials,
right.
1, 2, 3.
Here's my number, Phil.
We just want to take you to a hotel room and take your photo. Don't let people do this kind of thing. I wasn't alone, by the way. It was the buddy system, but it was a bunch of women who were soliciting this. But still, it was a bad idea, and it ended badly.
Sounds like it.
Yep. It ended poorly. I do have the photo. I showed you guys, right? I found it.
No.
The photo of me in college. I have it.
Conveniently, you were like, oh, I'm going to find this photo. I'm going to show you guys. And then it never happened.
I got it. I don't know if I look of sound, body, and mind, so I can't post it on social, but you'll at least see the hair.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, this is back in the day when you couldn't just take a million photos like on a digital, it was like a disposable camera. The fact that this exists is like a diamond in the rough.
What are you guys even talking about?
You had to go under a hood.
A light bulb actually exploded.
We lost Perloff 10 minutes ago. Bogish, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
He's with Phil somewhere in Kansas.
Here comes an update. So he's staying away.
I
Headlines
was
are.
very worried that I gave Phil his phone number.
No, you didn't.
Wouldn't that be the amazing
I
part?
did not. No.
No, but he's going to DM you again. So get all your
Well, you
fancy
wanna know
followers
what?
ready for another.
Nick has our number.
Nick texts me all the time. It's lovely. Nick and I
has our
are
number.
great text friends.
But to be fair, we met Nick's kids.
Nick's part of my family. No, I like Phil too.
We like Phil, too.
Not having an email scared us all. We're gonna be totally honest. Like, he sounds like he's somewhat off the grid.
He drives 20 hours to Texas regularly, it sounds like. I mean,
once a month.
yeah, I mean,
Listen, he's a fellow Eagles fan, bro.
This is your people.
This is your tribe.
And we were all in on the long drives, the blind hairstyling, the colors. And he goes, I don't have an email. We were like, okay, show's over.
Yeah, that's
everyone
what got
walk
us.
away slowly.
I have Phil's email. I have Phil's physical address.
Yeah,
That's
he
true,
gave
we
that
do.
away pretty easily. But
He has our address too. Maybe he could just take a photo and send it. What year is it?
He could do that. I honestly, that's probably the best bet.
But wait, actually, no, why would you not have email?
Honestly,
Man.
the amount of
Man can't find you.
triage and the amount of spam I get, sometimes I wish I didn't have email.
Yeah.
But can you do anything without an email these days?
I
Without
imagine
having
no.
a credit card. Like,
Right.
You need to exist digitally.
Maybe he's
Like
a
a
cash.
footprint.
Maybe he's a cash guy. Maybe he's a gold bars guy.
Maybe he's
like
he's definitely a
the disgraced senator from New Jersey.
definitely
Yeah,
a
or
fugitive.
like Ron Swanson.
He's definitely a fugitive.
Oh, he's definitely a fugitive. I'd say
His name is not Phil.
34% of our audience is fleeing from the federal government.
Why he changes his hair every month.
On the lamb.
It's just be amazing flex to be a fugitive yet call into a radio show minimum twice a week.
I would say a good chunk of our audience is hiding from something.
You said the Dan Patrick Show. You guys got a lot of calls
A
from
lot of prison.
D-Block.
A lot of prison.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you ever look
counts.
at the map of where our show is, trust me, it's in heavy fugitive land.
That's what we
There are a
love
lot of people out there
our affiliates.
hiding from the federal government. Let's put it that way.
Is he calling on a burner? Does he hang up and snap his phone in half and throw the SIM card away?
You guys laugh. If you ever dive into our audience, you do not want to know what's going on.
Well, I feel like these are your people because you always want you're building some kind of shelter. You're thinking about how you're getting to Canada.
Preppers?
If the asteroid's coming, you're on a bike to Vermont. You've talked
No,
about
I
this.
talk about that. I've done nothing. Instead of prepping in any real way, I have a bottle of water in my Brooklyn apartment.
One bottle.
Yeah, one bottle. I have not exactly
One can
done
of
it.
tuna fish.
Yeah, I'm
luck.
coming out to rural New Jersey where you are.
Come on out.
Yeah, you're actually going down in the first wave too.
I can only hope.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be good with the zombies around.
we wouldn't. We could go to Phil's house, but we don't know how to email him to tell him we're coming.
Show up with a bunch of hot topic hair dye. We made it. Okay, headlines.
They're sponsored by Mint Mobile. Switch and get half off unlimited premium wireless at mintmobile.com/score. I hate Manny. It is too much fun watching the Cowboys go through this. Their roof is falling apart. They can't win at home. They fumble, then recover, then fumble again for a touchdown. Their pets' heads are falling off. Here's head coach Mike McCarthy.
We have a lot of moving parts going on, and we just have to be cleaner and more detailed in certain spots. We're not playing well enough.
That being said, Monday Night Football in Dallas was still kind of up for grabs early fourth quarter, but that's when Cooper Rush was stripped. Old lineman Tyler Guyton recovered, but tried to run and fumbled himself. D lineman Derek Barnett picked that one up and ran 28 yards for the knockout points. The Texans eventually winning 34-10, extending the Dallas skid to 5 games, but it wasn't pretty either for Houston. Here's head coach D'Amico Ryans.
We're very thankful for this moment, thankful for this opportunity to play on Monday Night Football. It's a big deal for us. A lot of young guys who haven't played here before, so I'm really proud of the way our guys competed and finished today.
Joe Mixon ran for 109 yards and 3 scores. Nico Collins caught 4 passes, 54 yards in his return from a hamstring injury. A sick Joel Embiid was doubtful for last night's Sixers game in Miami, and then he started and played 31 minutes because he's him and they're the Sixers.
That's
and
good.
Embiid's presence didn't matter because of Jimmy Butler.
Here's Tyler. Found Jimmy underneath. He tries to reverse it, miss it, got it right back and in. 30 on the board. 22's back, everybody.
Jason Jackson, Heat Radio. Jimmy Butler, 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. They're missing a couple of his own injury issues. The Heat cruising to a 106-89 win. And beat 11 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists in his 31 minutes.
Maybe the most Andrew Bogus tweet of all time last night after it was announced that Joel Embiid was doubtful, was playing. That's not how doubtful works from Andrew Bogus.
I thought it was definitely South Beach flu, but then maybe he just got like a IV and got back out there.
I mean, he doesn't look healthy or interested or anything, but the fact that the playing stats annoyed you just made me really happy last night.
And I quote tweeted Shams too. I was nervous to do that, but yeah, it's like you can't go from doubtful to I'm good. Give me 30 minutes.
It's the NBA.
Yeah.
Why'd he go
There are
out? I don't
there are
even
no
understand,
rules when
like-
it comes to Joel Embiid's injury situation.
Clap your hands, everybody.
It does feel like
only for winners,
Kawhi
right?
Leonard's a face of load management, and that is shifting to Joel Embiid, I would say.
I think Kawhi's legitimately falling apart.
Yeah, he's really injured.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the original load management guy. And
Right.
yeah, anyway.
But he never went to doubtful to playing. He was just always questionable, then never mind.
Well, I think what's funny is that we're not giving any credit from going from doubtful to,
No,
to
he
playing.
wants it too. Here, listen, this is what he said after the game last night.
I always want to give it a chance. As long as I felt like I could be out there and not faint, then I was going to try regardless.
I always want to give it a chance. I rarely do, but I want to give it a chance.
serious?
And we laughed and we laughed.
Did
and
he
we
say,
laughed.
I want to be out there as long as I'm not fainting? Is that what he said?
I don't know what the last
I think
part
that
was.
as long as I can be out there and not faint.
Gonna be honest, we're gonna need some feigning because everyone doesn't believe that you're really hurt.
I would not want to be around that man if he fainted. He's 7'1", 350. If he fell on you, that would be
He's
terrible.
on the floor all the time anyway.
And imagine him falling on you, Perloff, 6'1", 140 pounds.
You think I'm 6'1", 140 pounds?
6'4", 140.
My bad.
I feel like everyone who
That's
plays
the
for the
biggest
Sixers
insult
just
you could-
eventually turns.
I don't
into
even
Ben
understand
Simmons.
that. What?
Sorry, EJ. Manny derailed the show because he shortchanged Perloff 3 inches on his height.
Perloff 6'4"?
I'm 6'3" and a half.
Oh,
Rounding
wow.
up, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm definitely not 140 pounds.
That was crazy. That's Nico, that's Nico territory.
Ninth grade, you nailed me, but
What are you now, 155?
I weigh like 199.
Right, he's tall. I mean,
199. You're not gonna round up there.
I don't know. No, I mean, that was kind of a guess. I was kind of rounding up from 195.
I would have rounded down to 195.
But
What do men
that
do? You
sounds
guys round
better.
up on your weight or you round down on your weight? I
Probably
know what you
round
do
up.
on your height.
Round up?
I think it depends. You want to, if you are feeling bad, you want to round down. And to me, like 6'4", 195 sounds better than 6'4", 200. I don't know why. It sounds more like a wide receiver.
Mm.
and what, 200 is a tight end?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Perloff should be 200 pounds.
200 does sound like a lot. That's why I said 199.
I don't think you're 200.
I'm not sure.
Unless you're that dense.
I'm not sure. But also, too, I mean, let's be honest. Look at my physique. Muscle weighs more than fat.
When he said something about being
Hence my
dense,
point.
I was like, just let it go. Let it go. No, you got the muscle mass. So everyone knows it weighs more than fat.
What, Manny, what's your measurables? What's your combine measurement?
I round up 5'9".
No.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Oh, yeah.
taller than 5'9".
I wish, brother. Anyway, on a good day, $190. On a bad day, 200.
What?
If the Knicks are on a 3-game skid, 210.
Yeah. I'll just eat my weight, double my weight, and all of a sudden I'm 210 pounds. I've gotten as heavy as 200 pounds. I've been as low recently as like $180, I think.
Wow. I had no idea.
I can't. I don't know what any of this means for any of us.
Maggie, are you good at evaluating men's weight? Probably not, right?
No, really bad at it.
Yeah, men don't know what women weigh either.
For me, for years, I was told I was short and fat, so.
Really? I've never thought that.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
no way
big time.
I think you've grown.
My, how you've grown, little Manny.
I don't think you're 5'9". I think you're a good 5'10".
Well, you know what? Let's update the Tinder bio then.
Tinder bio. Perloff says I'm 5'10".
McLovin said I'm 5'10".
The only reasons Andrea stayed with our date was that I didn't lie about my height.
Well, you get a little extra from the hair too.
Well, this
Do
is
you?
before the hair.
Oh, okay.
This was I was low cut at this time, and when she said I said I was 5'11" on my profile. She was like, "Oh, you gotta shave off 3 inches," and then I showed up. And she was like, "Whoa, he's actually 5'11".
Look at that.
So guys, don't lie on the profile.
You don't round up to 6 feet tall?
No. I thought about it too, and I was like, because also we play basketball, like the basketball culture is always
In shoes.
You always round up.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't think that's a good thing with this.
Can we put a poll question up? Do men round up or down on their weight? I know what you do with your height. 855-212-4227. All right, folks, got to cut that short. We'll get back to you next hour. Coming up, who's coaching for their job in the NFL? This is not Mike McCarthy. We got someone totally different for you. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
A lot going on today. Cowboys lost. That's kind of back burner right now because found out that one of our very loyal listeners, Phil in Pennsylvania, has a tradition with his wife where he gets his hair dyed in ridiculous and extravagant and bright-looking colors, professionally done once a year. He and his wife both do it. They have no idea what the hairstylist is going to do. It's just like a surprise. And it stays for like 3 or 4 months. So we asked Phil, send us a photo. We want to see the finished product today. He's got no email address. He's got no email. In this, the year of our Lord 2024, no email. Glenn is in Wisconsin. Glenn, you've got something on this about the no email?
Yeah, so we do this all the time for our work where you just put in the email address on the new text line instead of a phone number, and it'll actually convert the text message over to an email and send it right to your email address.
Oh, okay. Sure. That works?
So yeah, we do that for work all the time, and so if you don't have an email, you can just open up your new text, put in your email address instead of a phone number, and it will send it to your email.
Okay, so Phil, if you're listening, just send the photo on your phone to Maggie and Perloff at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Thank you, Glenn. How's
Kinda
everything
makes
going in
sense.
Wisconsin?
It's going great. We got a little rain, a little wet this morning, but still nice and warm, so can't complain.
How's your family?
Doing great.
That's good.
All right, Glenn, see ya. Thank you for that. I hope that Phil's listening.
It kind of makes sense what he's saying.
You can email. I didn't know that. Let's try it right now. We'll try it in the break.
I mean, it's an SMS. You can send an SMS message in theory to anything that will accept it. So why not an email address?
Sure.
Can we talk about anything football? I don't care if it's college, pro, XFL.
I thought we were going to talk a little about Wisconsin Badgers there, but maybe Glenn's more just of a Packer fan. I wasn't sure. I gave him the option. You want to talk about the Giants and Brian Daboll?
No.
Coaching for
I
his
said
career?
Football. I said football. I'd rather talk about Glenn's Wisconsin Badgers firing their offensive coordinator. No, Brian Daboll. What's up with that headline? Brian Daboll's staying? How?
Okay, so there's kind of two competing headlines here. The first is that there was a vote of confidence that was given recently by owner John Mara. Now, he was like on a red carpet for like a film premiere. So this is one it wasn't exactly, sitting with the press corps, but that's fine. Gave this sort of vote of confidence. They don't want to be on this cycle anymore where they just keep firing coaches and hiring new coaches. Now, our pal Jordan Schultz put this out yesterday on social media. While ownership has suggested he'll return, there is a growing sense that Brian Daboll, Giants head coach, is coaching for his job over the final 7 games. That's part of why he chose Tommy DeVito over Drew Lock as the starting quarterback. I guess he believes that DeVito gives them a better shot to win than Drew Lock. They paid Drew Lock like $5 million to come be the backup. It's not nothing. Apparently, the relationship between Daniel Jones and the Giants has been described as, quote, a bit awkward, multiple sources say, especially with the organization publicly exploring other quarterback options, including during Hard Knocks this past offseason. It was like flirting with someone new while your date is still at the table, one source said.
Yeah. Tommy DeVito's stats are good last year. 64% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks. Maybe they should have started Tommy Cutlets from week 1.
There's no reason why they should want to win games right now. And the organization has to either you got to you-know-what or get off the pot here with Brian Daboll. And if you really want to get off of the coaching cycle and circus, then you hired a guy who's good with quarterbacks and good with the offense. Stick with him.
Yeah, I mean, if they really wanted to lose, they should put Dan Jones back in. But it's the injury concern.
It's the injury guarantee.
I'm telling you, DeVito's going to win some games.
It's the worst thing for them. They want to be picking number 1 overall. That should be the goal right now for the Giants. Look at what happens when they pick 6th.
Tell that to Tommy DeVito's agent, Maggie.
This guy back in our lives. Lovely. Coming up next, let's talk Niners.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Well, Dallas Cowboys lose last night, Perloff, but that's just one of the stories happening today. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The season's basically over for Dallas. It's about draft positioning now and who's going to coach the team after Mike McCarthy seems to be inevitably fired. But they're not the only NFC team who's dealing with it this year. This is not the season that the San Francisco 49ers had to believe they were going to have. Coming into the year, you're an eyelash from a Super Bowl win, and now it's just been injury after injury. And the latest is Brock Purdy and Nick Bosa. So Bosa obviously sat out for most of the third quarter after he got a sack, actually, and then all of the fourth quarter. According to Kyle Shanahan, Brock Purdy, sore shoulder, throwing shoulder, and it's going to be a day-to-day thing.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about Brock Purdy long-term, but this team is so dependent on Nick Bosa. When he went out a couple years ago, they just completely folded. That fourth quarter, it was a completely different team going against the Seahawks. Geno Smith could do whatever he wanted because I've said this all along, but the Niners are way too dependent on defense with Nick Bosa. It just feels like every play, it's either Nick Bosa gets to him or he doesn't. And even in the playoffs last year, it was like the Nick Bosa show. Whatever happened in 2019, basically they got too expensive on their defensive line, had to get rid of all their veterans, and are left with Bosa sitting there on an island, and they've not been able to fix it.
Well, Fred Warner is maybe one of the best linebackers in the league, so it's not just Bosa and no one else.
I totally disagree.
And then on the positive side, the practice window for Dre Greenlaw, remember him?
Yeah.
He looks like could be coming back, but to be honest, I mean, the guy's coming off an Achilles. Yeah. That's going to be a tough readjustment. I just don't know what more evidence do you need that this season is cooked for the 49ers. It's just not happening this year. I mean, it just feels like, Perloff, if things are going to generally go right or generally go wrong for the 49ers, at every turn, they've generally gone wrong.
Pain.
And the Bosa injury and any kind of setback with Brock Purdy is just further evidence that this is just a snake-bitten season for the 49ers. They're sitting there at 5-5. I mean, it just might be a wrap on this year.
Totally. But you know what else about the Niners? I feel like we were sold a false bill of goods in the sense that Christian McCaffrey's agent, nobody ever told us the extent of Christian McCaffrey's injury. And the Niners must have known that Debo was done, and they didn't tell anybody.
Well, they were trying to trade him, so you can understand why they kept that one close to the vest.
Honestly, like you could look at either of those situations and say that's the key to the Niners' loss. I mean, Debo probably shouldn't be on the field. He's so slow, and his numbers reflected. I mean, he's way, way, way at career lows. And then McCaffrey is going to have every career low known to man. McCaffrey last year averaged 5.4 yards a carry. In his brief time, he's at 3.7 to he's at half the production rate. This is by far the two of them got super old, and we should have known it, but I think the Niners either fooled themselves or fooled us. And then they paid Ayuk. That was unfortunate. That I can't necessarily blame them for, but not knowing that Debo was done and McCaffrey was done, I think was a bit of fool's gold. They had to know that. So they paid McCaffrey knowing he wouldn't be out till week 8? Or was it they didn't know? What's happening here?
Well, it wouldn't make any sense if they knew that this Achilles was going to be so bad and that it was actually going to be in now both legs kind of spread because apparently he was favoring it or overcompensating, I should say, and it got a lot worse. I can't imagine why they would pay him if they thought he's not coming back until week 9? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And the other part too is
so weird.
The thing about Ayuk though, Ayuk's for the future. McCaffrey's for the now. Ayuk is for the future. Trent Williams is for the now.
I mean, even Ayuk. Ayuk will be a receiver coming off an ACL. What future? I'm not sure.
No, but he's young. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's young. You signed him to a long-term deal. That's because you want him for the future.
Right,
you
that's
want
what
he
I'm
and
saying.
Purdy together.
The Ayuk thing makes perfect sense. But the fact that the rest of their team was crumbling, I mean, I guess we should have seen. I'm mad at myself for not. I didn't pick the Niners to go to the Super Bowl, but I didn't think they'd be terrible. I really did not. Because Debo is such a key to that team. Forget McCaffrey. Can we talk about? Remember when he went out last year and the team fell apart? Mm-hmm. This year, there was a play where I think most wide receivers in the NFL could have gotten around the end on an end around, and he didn't have a prayer. He looks like a tight end at best. I think that has been one of the major problems for the Niners. They don't have their secret weapon. He's just not good anymore.
Well, listen, at the end of the season, maybe they're probably most likely moving on from Debo. Maybe they're moving on from Kittle as well because Kittle is not healthy all the time, and he missed last week's game.
Yeah, oh man, he's been great this year. So maybe you bring back Kittle. I mean, even a half of George Kittle is better than anything they have.
Well, you can understand why people think that it's possible that one window for the 49ers is closing right now. And I don't know what the second window looks like. I believe Brock Purdy is going to be a part of it. Ayuk's obviously going to be part of it. Nick Bosa is going to be a part of it. And Warner's going to be a part of it. But
Ricky Pearsall
will be a part of it.
I know. I fought you on the window closing because I'm like, you have Kyle Shanahan. you have presumably a good quarterback in Brock Purdy. Now I think the window might be closed. Because I think
on this current version, remember they just paid Diamador Lenore last week. I mean, they keep handing out these contracts. So, you can't say, all right, the future looks super dark for the 49ers, but I think this season has proven that nothing is going right for them. I mean, whether it's like just injury stuff, whether it's bad luck, whether it's, bad omens. I mean, your first round pick gets shot in broad daylight. Thank God he's okay. But if you're looking for bad omens on the season, you got a couple right there. And I'm not trying to make light of that at all. We're so happy that Ricky Pearsall's is made a full recovery. But it's just sometimes these seasons just go off the rails. And I think this is what's happening with the 49ers.
Yes, but going off the rails implies that your star running back got hurt in week 2 or something. Not that they were never on the rails because he never showed up for week 1. Like, why? If we had known that, we would have discussed them much differently.
I don't think we would have. And here's why. Because I've watched backups to Christian McCaffrey come in and have really big games, like Jordan Mason, like Isaac Guerrero. I've watched these guys come in and run really effectively. It's not the same as McCaffrey because they can't do what he does in the pass game as well. But Kyle Shanahan looking for a running back, that's the least of my worries.
I don't know. I think you would have viewed them differently.
I didn't pick him to go back to the Super Bowl either just because Super Bowl hangovers, I think, are real.
Yeah.
But
so here's some of the
running
players.
The ball is not.
They do have some young players to build. Like they love the guy. They got Dominic Pooney, the right guard, who might be like a all rookie team, and then they have the safety that they got in the 5th round, Hufanga, and they got Ricky Pearsall, presumably good, and Nick Bosa maybe has 5 more years. So there could be a second window. I think their key weapon is Kyle Shanahan. Like Kyle Shanahan can turn an offense into something. The question with me, and I keep coming back to this, is also like, why the defense? Like, how did it go from world beater to average so quickly? I just don't totally understand. Like, were D'Amico Ryans and Robert Saleh that good of coaches? That's so much better than what's his guy Sorensen now and Steve Wilkes. I just don't understand how that defense fell apart. I'm curious if any Niners fans can tell me.
855-212-4227. We should also mention it's kind of been bad at all 3 phases. Defense hasn't been as good. Offense has been injured and not as good. And the special teams has been a disaster. So it's kind of a failure on all 3 fronts right now. For the 49ers, they're still 5-5. You're not one of those 2 and 3 win teams, but the standard is really high.
Yeah, the expectations are really high. Especially when how many Hall of Famers you have? You like 7 or something?
Easily. They had the most Pro Bowlers last year. They should be a much better team, and they're just not. And it feels like they're cooked. Now, the question is, are they going to make the playoffs? Because that NFC West is totally jumbled. Arizona Cardinals are in first place. Rams have now won 3 of their last 4. Seahawks obviously just beat the 49ers. 49ers have collapsed in every division game, losing to every division foe in the last 2 minutes.
How healthy are those guys? That's the question.
They're healthy.
We saw the part of the body that Bosa was grabbing, his like left oblique or right oblique. How do you fix that? That's not something that just gets better.
I don't know. You just saw Dr. Rock Positano. I know he's a foot doctor. Does he do abs too? Obliques, hips, anything else?
Anyone ever heard an ab muscle? That is not good.
I think you need to have ab muscles to hurt ab muscles.
No, we all have them somewhere under there.
Where do you find that? What's that? A bicycle crunch? I don't know.
I have no idea. I don't think you need to be ripped to have an abductor issue.
Well, probably not. But if you're asking me to locate it, I don't
know. It just feels like for an NFL player, this is bad. This is all bad. Yeah, I got to be honest. I was hanging on to this dream of the Niners. You told me not to, and I didn't listen to you, and I apologize.
Wow. We got that? Clip that? Cut that? I didn't know I was getting an apology this morning. I would have braced myself.
I want an apology. I was trying to tell
you.
No,
actually, EJ was even more annoying about how the Niners were going to be bad.
It was just in like March.
Why did you? You don't like Shanahan, right?
No, it's just it was just there's a accumulation of losing in big games and what that does to a team. The long playoff runs. At a certain point, your run comes to an end, and I just felt like they had a lot of years where they seemed like a together unit. And they bought into Kyle Shanahan. They bought into what they were doing, and they kept losing. And I think at a certain point, You're just not going to have that run of luck 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row. Like,
By
at a
the
certain
way,
point, it's going to come to an end.
No, it's a great point, EJ, but the luck continues because of the fact that they've had Purdy this whole time making, like, basically, Purdy's needed a roommate. He hasn't made enough money so far in the NFL. Like, you got a gift there of Mr. Irrelevant actually looking like a top 10 quarterback.
For sure. And I think they have a locker room of big personalities, and for some reason, they haven't really had any major problems. I mean,
Deebo Samuel did choke
the long
snapper.
I kind of feel like we may start to see maybe a locker room fracture, right? Because like for locker room with big personalities, everybody's trying to get paid. They still played like a unit. And they played together. But Trent Williams has always kind of been a big personality. We know who Debo is. We know who Nick Bosa is. Like, we know who these guys are, and they've been playing. Like, I called them the Kumbaya 49ers for the last 4 or 5 years because that's what it's felt like. There's no way that's going to last forever when you keep losing.
Yeah, but some of those guys won't be back next year. So in the future.
Right, yeah. I mean, but to me now you're looking at
we still have half a season.
Right, you're playing this season,
less.
and if you're talking about next year or the future, you're talking about a retooling. Now, does that mean that they become the Browns? I don't think so.
Only God knows.
I don't think that this unit, I don't think is winning a Super Bowl or coming close.
Well, I think
what do you mean by unit? Do you mean quarterback and head coach combination?
No. The quarterback and coach, put them aside. I think the combination of Debo, Kittle, Trent Williams, Fred Warner, I think those that's not happening. Like, maybe some of those guys are part of whatever the next unit of the 49ers are, but that nucleus that they built this mini NFC dynasty around, that's dead.
Think about the Netflix show Receiver. Two guys from the 49ers. You're talking about big personalities.
Yeah, but
it's like Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and then Debo and Kittle.
I think if you pull Debo out, a lot falls into place. I know that Pearsall and Ayuk are really, really tight because they were in college together, right? Or went to the same college. So I feel like pull Debo out of it and things kind of fall into place. Maybe would you buy that, EJ?
Maybe. I just think that then you got to teach those guys how to win, though. Like, the one thing I respect about this locker room is that these guys have won huge games. We always talk about the games they've lost, but they've also won a lot of games, a lot of tough games. And now you got to bring in these new guys who may be talented, but like, are they ready to play under those bright lights the way Debo has, the way Kittle has, the way some of these other guys, Trent Williams, like is Juwan Jennings? I think he's a really good player. Is he really going to be about that?
Going to Lambeau.
Ricky Pearsall going to be about that? Like, we don't know. Some of these young defensive players, like, we're still learning. And I think they've lost a lot of attrition in the defense, too. Like, I know Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner, like, these guys were getting older, but, like, I don't think they've really replaced them with stars.
They weren't that old.
Right, they weren't that old.
Buckner was, I think, 26 when they had to give up on him. But here's the thing. They were terrible. In 2019, they made the Super Bowl, blew a 10-point lead. Then 2020, they were just awful because Nick Bosa got hurt. Then they came back and were awesome again. So I do feel I believe more in Kyle Shanahan, I think, than you guys do. I feel like he can reinvent this thing pretty quickly. I just worry like they gotta. Why don't they hire Saleh back? Bring in whatever was working back then. Bring in Robert Saleh. Just try to. They just they're totally non-scary on defense. Like Geno was not. Did Geno look scared to you in the fourth quarter of that game?
No, he rushed in for a touchdown with 12 seconds left, and it was like the greatest moment of his season by far. 855-212-4227. D's our pal in Portland, big Niner fan living in Oregon. D, what do you think about the Niners window?
No, I'm not a Niners fan. I don't like the Niners.
Sorry.
Eagles fly.
Oh, you're an Eagle fan. Sorry, D. How could I make that mistake?
It's all good. It kind of seems like it's mirroring the Eagles a little bit when we went to Super Bowl, and then we kind of like retooled on offense and defense. At some point, and I'm going to talk about Kyle Shanahan too. At some point, other teams are going to get better. They're just not going to get stagnant and just be the way they are. So I personally think they should retool that thing. But as an Eagles fan, go ahead and pay Brock Purdy that max, because in my eyes, when I'm watching it, he's just an average quarterback. And go ahead, pay him, because the Eagles would love to see the San Francisco 49ers the way they are with that quarterback.
It's an interesting point. It actually harkens back to a conversation, and thank you, D, that you and I had not a long time ago, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
About Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Do you remember the conversation?
We've had many conversations about Brock Purdy. Which one in particular?
The one about Brock Purdy where I said no matter what, anytime you get to the Super Bowl with Purdy, which, by the way, is like a huge accomplishment, so I'm not downplaying that, but you're always going to be at the quarterback deficiency because of look at all the quarterbacks in the AFC. Like, anytime you'd be going into a Super Bowl, hypothetically, with Purdy as your quarterback, and you're playing, obviously, against the AFC because it's the Super Bowl, whether it's Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, whoever, it's Justin Herbert, it's always going to look like you're at the disadvantage quarterback-wise. You will always go into a Super Bowl with a disadvantage at quarterback. Now, that sounds like a horrible knock on Purdy. I don't mean it that way. I'm just saying when you're going up against the Mahomes and Lamars. To be fair to Purdy, it was overtime.
Yeah, Purdy had a really good Super Bowl.
And could have really gone either way.
But I mean,
that storyline won't go away.
I think that's a secret shot at my Philadelphia Eagles because wouldn't you say the same thing about Jalen Hurts then?
Not necessarily. I thought when Jalen Hurts was coming off the Super Bowl with Mahomes, people thought Hurts was a top 5 quarterback. I don't know where that went.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No one's ever thought Purdy was top 5.
That being said, like you could easily see there were games where Brock Purdy would blow out the other good quarterbacks. Like remember the Cowboys game last year, Dak was feeling it, and Brock Purdy had 20 times the game he did. And Brock Purdy was really good in the Super Bowl. I know what you're saying. Brock Purdy's clearly good enough to win a Super Bowl because you saw him get to overtime with the Chiefs.
I know.
He was 23 for 38, 255, 1 touchdown against the Chiefs. It was just Mahomes on the other side. I don't know if that's their problem, honestly. But that being said, I was waiting for the Brock Purdy critic to come out on you, Maggie, because he looks pretty average this year. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if that money is as guaranteed as you think it is because, wow, he does not look like the same quarterback now that his receiving core is falling apart.
Listen, I'm not here to rub anything in anyone's faces at all. All I'm saying is I do have a Brock Purdy for MVP t-shirt that's hanging in our office that I don't think is going to get worn. But this is why I don't bring up the Brock Purdy extension because he's going to get an extension.
But is he going to get
the max?
$60 million?
Depends. How much hardball does he want to play? Because I'll tell you this, he's got him. He's got the leverage on the 49ers.
Kyle Shanahan secretly knows that he is the secret weapon, not Brock Purdy. I don't know how much leverage he really has.
Who are you going to go with if it's not Brock? I need another name because Brock's
technically in the short term, I guess you got to go Brock Purdy, but it's not like he has leverage like Dak Prescott had. I mean, I don't think they're going to give him $60 million. I think they can get a level below. I'll bet you that they can not get. I bet you he's not the highest paid quarterback in the NFL.
I don't know. How messy does Brock want to make this?
Why Brock Purdy there's no way he can make it messy this year.
Why not?
Because they're 5-5 and his numbers have fallen off a cliff.
He went to 2 NFC championship games though. I mean, he's done more than Dak Prescott's ever done. Be honest, he has.
Yeah.
And you'd probably trust him more in a playoff game than you would Prescott, and Prescott just got $60 million. And that's because he had the Cowboys over a barrel. And I think that Purdy's got the 49ers in a similar spot. Now, maybe they get lucky and Purdy does a Tom Brady thing and takes less. I don't know.
I just feel like Brock Purdy has probably less leverage than a lot of these guys because he's just not having a great season.
I mean, Dak Prescott was coming off of a broken leg, and he got paid. That was now 2 contracts ago. I don't know if that matters.
And Purdy's numbers aren't terrible.
No, they're not terrible, but obviously they're going to say to Purdy, if you wanted to get all the money, then you're going to really have a rough go of it the next 3 or 4 years. Like you gotta come down a little bit, make it more reasonable. Now, I don't even know what that means in quarterback terms. That's like $50 million. It's compared to $60 million.
See, I think that goes back to people saying, well, now you're just holding his draft position against him. Because has he played like a top quarterback? Has he played better than Tua?
Last year he did. This year, no.
But I'm just saying, it's like this is a season where no one's played particularly well, right? It's not just Brock. You're 5-5 for a reason. And so wouldn't his agents be like, wait a minute, you're going to hold this season where everything's basically gone wrong against our client when you're given McCaffrey extension, Trent Williams gets an extension, Brandon Ayuk gets paid, Diamador Lenore gets paid. Like no one else is contributing to the 5-5 here.
Yeah,
it's just Brock who's got to take the hit salary-wise. If I was his agent, I'd be like, hell no, that doesn't stand up.
I just don't think they have the leverage that you think they do. I honestly, I think Kyle Shanahan is pretty vicious. He let Trey Lance go real fast.
Well,
really fast.
They all made a huge mistake with that one. Maybe a good poll question, EJ. Do you think Brock Purdy is getting a max contract? 855-212-4227. All right, you're welcome to weigh in. See you guys on the phones. Is the window closing on the 49ers?
All right, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Boyd in Mississippi. Learn more at Depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. We're breaking down the 49ers issues here on Maggie and Perloff. First of all, they're not out of it. I think we are burying them a little too soon. It is crazy. There's so many games they should have won. Their special teams destroyed the early part of their season. No problems last Sunday against the Seahawks, but then their worst nightmare when Nick Bosa is off the field. I have this theory in the NFL.
What's up?
Quarterbacks are big, defensive ends. When Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and Micah Parsons leave the field, their teams win at about a 20% rate. So you can't win without Nick Bosa. But there's lots of problems in Ninerland.
Yeah, they're 5-5. I mean, right now they'd be, I think they're looking at 10th place right now in the NFC if you just stacked it top to bottom. Like, they're a fringe. I mean, they'd have to do some serious work here to get into the playoffs. I mean, winning the division is going to be their best shot.
They're one game out.
But you got a lot of teams right around you, you know?
Yeah, it's so weird. I actually think I'm going to start backing a new team in the NFC West.
You have an NFC team to back.
No,
though.
not to back. I think I am looking to make a major conference bet on a team in the NFC West.
Oh, this is your personal DraftKings account.
Yes. I think that there's a team that we're all sleeping on that might be really good. A team that I think you like too. And it's not...
I picked the Rams to win the division.
I think the Rams are coming on strong.
Yeah, I picked them to win the division before the season started, but I get very concerned. You talk about being an injury away.
Yeah. No, my logic is that everyone's going to come together healthy, kumbaya, and the whole team will be a full roster. That's a bit of a pipe dream. But if that happened, when you look at it on paper, like, whoa, what if all those guys are there? And it hasn't really been that way.
I mean, they barely beat the Patriots. I mean, they were in control of that game, but Drake May was driving could have won the game with a touchdown.
Yeah, you go out there and beat the Patriots. That's a juggernaut, that team.
What a wagon. Rich is in California. Rich, you have a theory on why the 49ers are struggling.
Yeah, I think they're the canary in the coal mine. You expanded the season to 17 games. They've gone deep into the playoffs the last 3 years. I would venture that they have probably played roughly the equivalent of 3.5 seasons.
Right. Rich, you know what people will say to that, though.
I think they're actually starting to break down. It's the dichotomy of having a good team.
Right.
The more you play, the more chances you are to get people hurt.
Right.
I'm
we
just
call
simply
this
saying
Perloff's Philadelphia Eagles theory. The only thing where that doesn't hold up, though, is then why did the Chiefs get off to a 9-0 start? They've played more games than anybody over the last 5 years.
Well, I would suggest looking at the average age of the Chiefs versus the average age of the Niners. I think the Chiefs are a younger ball club. You got Kittle's in his 30s, McCaffrey's in his 30s,
Trent Williams 36,
Williams in his 30s, late 30s almost.
Debo's 30.
And I think 30-ish. And I think the wear and tear is going to show up on them before it's going to show up on a younger guy.
By the way, Rich, you should tell Maggie, I don't know if the Chiefs aren't wearing down a little bit too, because Travis Kelce is a shadow of himself this year. Pacheco got hurt early on.
I'm sorry. I was told that nothing matters with the Chiefs because they're going to get to the playoffs and win anyway.
Well, you said the Eagles wore down. They were 10-1, and then they wore down after that. It took them a while to wear down. Maybe, and I think the Chiefs probably have 3 or 4 losses coming now. They don't look good at all. So maybe the Chiefs wear down a little bit, but then they have Mahomes.
So I'm on a site that I've never been on before. I'm not going to give them any publicity, but it's ranking the NFL team by average age for the 24-25 season. They're telling me my Buffalo Bills are actually the oldest team in the NFL.
That's impossible.
27 years, 5 months is the average.
That's for this year? I can't believe that's true.
San Francisco would be 7th. Their average is 27 years, 0 months. And let's get to the Chiefs.
Who's the kicker on the Bills?
Chiefs are 25th.
Tyler, I can't believe that it would be the Bills.
That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing. On this website, I can't back this website, but it's porn, guys. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I saw Bogus was WikiFeet.
Yeah.
Wiki
Are
feet
you
also,
on WikiFeet right now?
They also rank everyone by the age of your feet. So Josh Allen's feet look particularly old. I don't know.
Some men like mature feet. It's just a thing.
Cougar feet? Actually, paws.
Did they come to you in the mall as well? And be like, hey, you got
I was wearing
nice
sandals.
feet.
Yes, when they stopped me to be a hair model. By the way, so just in case Phil is still listening, because Glenn in Wisconsin gave us this life hack, you can text us the photo of your hair. Just text the photo to maggieandperloff@gmail.com. They've got email for computers now. No, you can just text a photo to an email address, which, considering the average age of this show, we probably should have known that.
Really?
Yes, we're young enough that we should have understood that. Manny, you're like in your 20s. How old's Alex?
25.
Alex is 25.
Alex, you probably can text something to outer space. We don't even know it yet. EJ, you're young 30s.
Why would any of us not have an email address to where we would need to do this?
I'm just saying,
I
didn't
had an email address since I got out the womb. What are we talking about?
I'm just saying, we're young enough on the show, we probably should have known that you can text a photo to an email address.
I didn't know that.
I think emails for really old people. I think actually Phil might be honest on me. But I think the numbers have been updated on the oldest team. The Dolphins are the oldest team.
Yes.
The Vikings are second. Then the Niners are third.
Okay, well, I'm glad I didn't give any
That Bills
pub
stuff
to this website.
Yeah, that Bills is the end of last year, right, when they had Poyer and all those guys.
Oh, and Leonard
that's
Floyd.
what I was thinking.
and-
Like the high, I think that's last year's roster. Yeah, I mean, the Philly voice of who I feel comfortable saying their list, had Dolphins, Vikings, Steelers, Saints.
Oh, it was
Falcons,
after the
and
53-man cutdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Schefter on the day before the season saying the Dolphins, Vikings, Niners, Commanders, Falcons. Huh.
The Falcons are up there.
Yeah, the Niners are old. There's no doubt about it.
By the way, Chiefs here, fourth youngest.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maggie, you always point out they won a Super Bowl with two rookie
Rookies.
defensive backs.
They did against your team.
But is it me or is the spread on this small? It's just 2 years. The Packers are the youngest on this list, and the Dolphins are the oldest. It's just 2 years difference in the average age.
That's a great point.
It's all the same, basically.
Yeah, Packers 24.96 years of age. Dolphins 26.94.
And also,
Literally just 2 years.
It feels like the Packers have all those receivers will always be rookies for the Packers, right? Like Christian Watson and Reed and all those guys are basically rookies. They've actually been around now for what's this, their third year?
Tell that to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I know.
Wanted nothing to do with those guys.
Hey, by the way, the Jets have to be super old, right? They have Aaron Rodgers.
Jets are 22 according to this list.
Really?
It's just Rodgers and Morstead have to be tilting this.
Yeah, Rodgers and Morstead. You got to look at the kicker. And they had Zerline, who was 40.
I mean, them combined is like 100 years old.
And Tyron Smith.
Yeah, and Morgan Moses. Moses was literally there
Moses.
for the beginning.
He's Moses.
How is it not the
I'm sure
Jets?
when they got Devontae Adams that went up, but their defense has a lot of young players.
Yeah.
Like
And
they
they have
don't.
Garrett
Besides C.J. Mosley, everyone is definitely under 30.
Yeah, bright future there, EJ.
Oh yes, can't wait. By the way, I do think there's a good point though by Rich about the amount of games being played, because also you got to remember this is a physical team. Unlike the Chiefs, who are a little bit more of a finesse team, this is a team that beats you up, right? And at a certain point, that does wear on you too, the style of play that you're bringing. Like Debo, physicality, Kittle, physicality. I don't got to talk about Trent Williams. I don't got to talk about that defense. That wears on you too. Playing that way for those amount of games will take its toll.
No doubt.
Bogus has headlines for us. What's up, Bogus?
These headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance.
You suck, Bogus.
The Houston Texans almost scored on their first play last night in Dallas. A 77-yard catch and run from Nico Collins wiped out by an illegal man downfield penalty. But Joe Mixon got them their points about 2 minutes later.
At the 45-yard line of Dallas, 1st and 10. Handoff Mixon, starts right, cuts back left, has room, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, rock and roll, touchdown, Joe Mixon.
And no flags.
That one definitely counted. Mark Vandermeer, Andre Ware on Texans radio. Houston never trailed on Monday Night Football, but they didn't pull away until the fourth quarter when the defense scored off a fumble and Mixon ran for his third TD. The 34-10 final means the Cowboys have lost 5 straight overall, are 0-5 at home. They are the first team ever to trail by 20-plus points in 6 consecutive home games. but Mike McCarthy still has a job.
It's very frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody. Frustrating for the players. Frustrating for the coaches. I know it's it's disappointing for the fans.
Those Cowboy fans that didn't sell their seats to Texans fans left early last night. It was Dame time again last night for the Bucs.
Lillard drives inside, scoops to the hoop, lays it in with 3.9 seconds to go. The Bucs have taken a 1-point lead, and Damian Lillard, some way, somehow finds that smallest of openings.
That's Dave Kane on Bucs Radio. Lillard scoring the deciding points after missing 3 games in concussion protocols. The Bucs a 101-100 win over the Rockets, who had won 5 in a row. The Clippers got by the Warriors 102-99. The Suns are 1-5 since Kevin Durant's calf injury after a 109-99 home loss to the Magic. And the Raptors snapped their 7-game skid 130-119 over the Pacers. R.J. Barrett, a season-high 39. College hoops, third-ranked Gonzaga, an 80-67 win at San Diego State. Florida Atlantic football fired Tom Herman yesterday. His buyout roughly $4 million. U.S. men's...
Man, that's crazy about Tom Herman. Sorry.
Not even 2 years.
Not even 2 years. I mean, the guy was coaching Texas like 5 minutes ago.
I was about to say, Tom Herman's at Florida Atlantic. I actually didn't.
We had him on the show before he got that job.
No, he was an analyst for CBS.
Yeah, and hopefully he comes back because I'd like to talk to him again. He's smart about football, but that was a surprise. There was a couple coaches who got fired yesterday.
What is Florida Atlantic? Are they in a conference? What are they?
Yeah, they're in the AAC.
They're in the AAC.
Perloff has a blind spot on the AAC.
Yeah, I don't watch AAC. And how many years has Florida Atlantic been a big conference?
I mean, that one really good Lane Kiffin year was like 6 seasons ago.
Okay.
They've been in the AAC for 2 seasons. This is their second year there.
Coming from Conference USA, I think.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, the weird thing is, so they're the Owls, there's the Rice Owls, there's the Temple Owls, and there's somebody else.
Kennesaw State Owls.
Kennesaw State. All 4 of those teams fired their coach this year.
That's crazy.
Wow.
The Temple coach happened a couple days ago. Kennesaw State was last week.
So the other nugget is the Temple coach got fired after beating FAU on Sunday. So that game cost 2 coaches their job.
Wow!
Double hoot?
Yeah.
And Drake got destroyed by Kendrick in a rap beef, and his logo is an owl.
Man, bad time for owls.
You got no sound effect for that one, Manny? Thanks.
So did the AAC just cobble together every team that didn't have a conference, basically?
Yes.
It's gigantic. Temple's in the AAC?
And that's
knew?
not new.
Yeah, no, actually, that makes
They're
sense.
a founding member.
So
No,
Temple,
they were in
like,
the A10.
Temple plays Army and stuff? I don't...
Well, Army is new in the AAC this year or last year for football only.
Aha.
Army's new.
This is Army's first year in the AAC.
Navy's second, I think. Navy went first.
So it's going to be... Actually, I did see Tulane is good now. So Tulane will play Army in the AAC title game.
I know. That's why Bogusch is repping the green wave today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing people who want the Tulane coach to take over for Brian Kelly.
Tulane has had he's a good coach. I mean, I watched him as K-State earlier this year, and they have a quarterback who's pretty good.
Freshman, right, I think?
Yes. Or maybe a sophomore. He's young, whoever he is. They have a good team.
I did get hooked into the Memphis UAB game. You guys
the
know
ribs?
Yeah, the ribs. Did you guys see this? They have a big trophy of ribs. It's called Battle of the Bone, which is the greatest nickname.
I've seen a movie called that, too.
Yeah.
I was going to say by yourself.
What
one
website,
time.
man?
One we won't name.
Yeah, I guess
Is that on
it's
Netflix?
Again, I'm so ignorant of AAC.
gonna
This is
buffer.
the 6th year of the Battle of the Bone. They've been doing this. I mean, that's an elite battle.
I think that's actually what Bogusch was watching, Battle of the Bones 6. And I don't think that you would actually understand the first 5. You
gotta
don't
see all of
understand
them.
6 unless you see the first 5.
That's why
It's like Kickboxer 2.
for the Cowboys game, they kept going all these scenics of barbecue. I'm like, oh, they're showing barbecue porn in the middle of the game. Basically,
Keep us interested.
Yeah, that's basically the best thing the Cowboys got going right now is that you could leave the game and go get amazing barbecue.
Yeah, go to Sonny Bryant's and make your night actually worth it.
U.S. men's soccer beat Jamaica last night 4-2 in St. Louis to advance to the Nation League semifinals. That'll be in L.A. in March. Pirates righty Paul Skeens, Yankees righty Luis Gil, rookies of the year. By winning, Skeens gets credit for a full year of Major League service, even though he wasn't called up until May. So now he hits free agency in 2029 instead of the following winter. And Alex Ovechkin scored 2 more times in last night's 6-2 Washington win in Utah. So that's 868 for his career, now 27 away from passing Wayne Gretzky for the most all time. But Ovechkin did not finish this game, hurt his left leg in an accidental collision late in the third period. So we need to know if that is any kind of long-term issue for him. But otherwise, he is red hot right now, chasing Gretzky down.
Are we getting this by the All-Star break? I mean, what's going on?
That's the end of January. I mean, we're getting it this year, which I didn't think was going to happen, but it's coming. One way or the other.
Do we have to do some kind of Ovechkin watch? Do we have to commemorate this as a show?
Definitely.
Like, what do we do?
I'm just going to play highlights that next morning.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of hard to back Ovechkin if you're not a Capitals fan. I don't know. Is he crossover?
Definitely. Why? Because he's a little more the villain to Sidney Crosby's like babyface?
I don't think anybody wants
That feels like kind of old.
Well, Wayne Gretzky's the most popular hockey player of all time. I'm not sure this is one that everyone wants to see broken by this guy.
Well, after Ovi won the Stanley Cup and he was like in a fountain, like drunk in a fountain, I'm like, this guy.
Yeah.
I'm behind him.
I think Alexander Ovechkin was drunk for about a week after they won the Stanley Cup.
Month.
God bless. What a life.
I mean, Bogus, I call you the hockey expert here. Do you think people are going to rejoice with this one?
I haven't noticed negativity yet. Like, I don't think people are necessarily. I haven't seen people who are like afraid of this happening.
Yeah,
but I think it. But I mean, it's more like just the shock of it actually being plausible.
Yeah. Gretzky's like sort of worship. That's what I mean. Like he's an icon of sports. It just feels weird not having him be the all-time leading scorer. But
my question is, like in the NBA, like LeBron becoming the all-time leading scorer became a referendum for some folks to explain why he was the GOAT, where I don't feel that's ever going to happen with Alex Ovechkin.
Well, I mean, isn't Wayne Gretzky just so far ahead in regards to total points scored?
He has what's the thing? He has more assists than anyone else has points. Like he doesn't need the goals to be the all-time leader. He has there's a weird like mathematical thing there that he's so far better than everybody else. Like this is not going to change that.
Yeah, EJ, I think you have a good point. The GOAT conversation is not going to change because of Ovechkin.
I don't think, for me, the LeBron points didn't affect the GOAT thing either because he didn't beat Jordan. He beat Kareem and Karl Malone.
I know, but it was like a feather in the cap for a lot of people who will make the case that LeBron is the GOAT, where I don't think that anybody who's going to be like, oh, now Ovechkin's has the most goals, therefore he's the GOAT. That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
But the Jordan people said, oh, that makes LeBron the Frank Gore of the NBA. Just hung around forever.
Compiler.
Gretzky, by the way, has 1,963 assists. Jaromir Jagr has 1921 points as number 2 on that list. And even the other day with McDavid, Young to get to 1,000 points, it was 200 more games than Gretzky. Like 3 full seasons.
200 more games.
Yeah, it might even been more than that. So it's like he's so still astronomically ahead of everybody else. There's no difference in that conversation, the GOAT conversation.
Bogish, thank you so much. Coming up, one college coach on the hot seat, but should he be? We'll get to it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Look, when you don't get the right outcomes, immediately it's going to be, take this action, do this, bench that guy, fire that guy. It's much more about, for us, understanding that we have a process in place. We have to stick with our process, and then maybe are there things that you have to tweak within that. And that's how I've operated for over 34 years.
LSU head coach Brian Kelly selling some optimism after the team's lost 3 straight, 4 losses overall on the season. Welcome back. It's Maggie Gray. It's Andrew Perloff. So it started with the loss to Texas A&M when A&M went to the backup quarterback. LSU couldn't stop the running quarterback. Then they're embarrassed at home by Alabama. Then they lose to Florida 27-16 a week after Florida just gotten blown out by Texas, but Florida got their quarterback back in DJ Lagway, and the other loss was the season opener against USC. So Brian Kelly now facing some major scrutiny and questioning Perloff. Now, listen, I don't think LSU is going to have a knee-jerk reaction, but the last time a coach lost 3 games in a row, they got fired, and that was Ed Orgeron, who had just won them a national title.
Very different scenario for a lot of reasons, because I don't think, Brian Kelly was their prestige hire. Like, they actually spent a lot of money to bring him in. Ed Orgeron was sort of, handed off to them. So I think that that they have to see this Brian Kelly thing through. Not even because of the buyout, not even because of the money. Like, what's their better option? I think that they have to give Brian Kelly at least one more shot. The other thing, too, is I think we underestimate the impact of losing Jaden Daniels. I know Garrett Nussmeyer's a good quarterback, but they did just lose the Heisman Trophy winner, and they don't seem to be loading talent around Garrett Nussmeier. They're okay, but that's sort of my question for you, Maggie. Is like, why can't he build a juggernaut here? What's going on?
Well, I think that the Jaden Daniels part actually is it's a knock on Brian Kelly. Not that he had the Heisman Trophy winner, but he has a Heisman Trophy winner who looks like they're comfortable in the NFL, and you couldn't win anything with him.
Well,
at least when you had Joe Burrow there, you won a national title. At least you took advantage of that quarterback being that good. Jaden Daniels, in the room, in the building, on the field, you could not be a winner. So I think it's actually a negative on Brian Kelly about the whole Jaden Daniels.
Well, I still think you
year.
kind of won above your head last year. Even the games. Remember the games they lost, they let up like 100 points.
Oh no, the defense was bad.
Every game Jaden Daniels was in was a wild shootout, and they actually last year was pretty good. They ended up 10-3. I think that was a sign. Because nobody saw him coming last year. No one knew Jaden Daniels was that spectacular. Nobody. Actually, no one knew Joe Burrow was that spectacular coming into that year. So I just think that they're not that disappointing. It's not like they're Alabama or Georgia, and we thought they were going to win the national title this year. So what are we really talking about?
Well, I think that LSU fans would probably disagree with you there. And
Nobody
now you got
there.
to put yourself in the mindset of a Tiger fan who was told before the season by Brian Kelly, just wait. Year 3 is when things all start coming together for me. Year 3 is when you really start to gel. These are all my guys. This is all stuff Brian Kelly said before the season when he was coming off a Heisman Trophy winner, and they have not delivered on that.
I mean, what were they, ranked 6 in the conference coming in the season?
It doesn't matter, Pearl. I think
that's delusional if LSU fans are title or bust.
Well, I mean, I think they expected that you said it, a prestige hire in year 3, that they were going to build something here. And Nussmeier has been waiting his turn. They touted him as, he was definitely going to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation. Obviously, that's not happening. Now, it's a $61 million buyout for Brian Kelly. So that feels extremely rich. They are also paying Ed Orgeron $17 million through 2025. So they have tons of money committed, but that doesn't mean, and if they don't move on, which I wouldn't expect them to do because it feels like a waste of money, but it doesn't mean that the spotlight's not going to get more and more intense on Brian Kelly. And if they don't turn things around, doesn't he go into next season embattled? And then you have to wonder about these commits. You talk about this all the time. In the days of NIL now, the commitments are very flimsy. So Bryce Underwood is the prize recruit for 2025, the quarterback. If he flips, there's a chance that Brian Kelly might be even under more duress.
Yeah, it's so hard right now. I think when you hired Brian Kelly, it was a different college football universe, believe it or not. Now you think, Brian Kelly going down to LSU, that recruiting advantage, that money, now everybody's got it. So now it's about how good a coach are you? And that's another question too. It does seem like one year the defense is okay, and then the next the offense is awesome. Like the whole thing is not working. They seem very undisciplined based on the fact that he's screaming at his team saying you're undisciplined.
Well, and how about the flip side? Players screaming at him.
Yeah, they seem very, very
yelling at him.
Undisciplined. I don't know. I do think the expectations, if they were thinking national title, were just too high because there were 5 teams preseason the SEC ranked over them, including Missouri. That didn't exactly work out. But generally, this was obviously going to be a down year after you lose Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, but again, I think that you're looking at what could have been with Jaden Daniels. You had this great talent.
Yeah.
And you didn't have much to show for it.
Well, you had
besides
a good year.
Heisman.
You had a good year last year.
Yeah, but you didn't make the college football playoff.
Nobody thought you were going to.
Yeah, but then you all of a sudden had the Heisman Trophy winner, right?
Didn't feel like a disappointment last year. This year feels much bigger.
Speaking of disappointments, the Dallas Cowboys. They lost last night. Just how bad was it? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
45 of Dallas, shotgun snap, handoff Mixon, breaks 340, down the middle 30, foot race to the 20, hash mark to the 10, galloping in, touchdown Texans. 45-yard touchdown run, Joe Mixon. And the Texans have taken an early 6-0 lead on the first possession of the game on a 45-yard touchdown run.
It would get a little closer, but ultimately the Texans win 34-10. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. That was Kevin Harlan on Westwood One. Perloff probably should have known the Cowboys were in trouble. The evening started off with a piece of sheet metal falling from the roof of Jerry World. Luckily, nobody was hurt. But the evidence of the season collapsing right before our eyes, well, that one was a little too on the nose. But yes, we get it. We got it. The Cowboys season is effectively over.
Well, at least no one got hurt before the game, during the game. Actually, no, the Cowboys hadn't come away with any major
Zach
injury.
Martin.
Well, yeah, but
Martin
was hurt before the game. Martin's done. That is very much clear.
Yep.
Although they said that he's probably going to retire after this year. I was wondering if my Eagles could eke out one more year of that guy. He is so good.
Well, we know that's who Micah Parsons is playing for. It's not for McCarthy because Zach Martin has done more for this team than Mike McCarthy ever has. I'm sorry, that's last week's headline.
No.
This week's headline.
He worked harder than Mike McCarthy. He worked harder. Yeah,
yes.
him.
That's last week's headline. This week's headline is Cowboys season over and done. And the Texans just really put a fork in them. And I think now, and maybe it was underscored for me watching Dak Prescott, who showed up to the game, by the way. I mean, he just had surgery in a totally different city on Wednesday and then showed up to support his team. So, clearly he wants to still be involved and be a part of it. But, Perloff, as I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys lose that game, they've got to draft a quarterback. They've got to hope to lose out, which is going to be hard because they play the Giants, they play the Panthers. They've got some wins left on the schedule. But they've got to get the highest draft pick possible. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't care that they paid Dak Prescott. Because you need a season where Dak Prescott comes back, plays maybe well, gets a little bit of a market around Dak Prescott, and he can also help groom the next quarterback. And you've got to start this thing over with a new QB.
So how high do you have to get? What are you talking about? Give me a number.
Right now, they're sitting at 9th. Okay. And you've got some teams in front of you, I think, that may also win some games. So it's possible that the Jets win some games. It's possible the Patriots win some games. I could see Cleveland winning a game or two. Tennessee, maybe. It's possible you could get into the top 5.
Oh, Cleveland.
Well, Cleveland also wants a quarterback. But maybe you get into the top 5. And if you do, you've got to take a QB there.
So you're going to take, say, Shedeur Sanders.
Let's say Shedeur Sanders.
With his tie to the franchise because of Deion.
Yep.
You're going to pass on a potential all-pro at every other position when you need so much help. If you look at, first of all, you're going to pass on Travis Hunter, who would be amazing there. If he's still standing at 5, he might go number 1. We don't know. You're going to pass on a superstar defensive tackle. You're going to pass on a pass rush. You're going to pass on.
Yep.
By the way, I know that they keep on drafting tackle. That'd be crazy, especially if you bring in Belichick and Mason Graham from Michigan sitting there and you don't take him. That would be absurd.
Nope. It would be the smartest thing they could do.
They'll be mediocre forever if they don't fix that run defense.
What are they going to do with Dak Prescott? You think that they're going to be a Super Bowl contender all of a sudden? Come on. That's a pipe dream. And you're talking about needing to really do some kind of rebuild. You've said it yourself. They do need a different direction here. To run it back with Prescott on his 3rd coach, what do we think's going to happen that's going to be so different?
I don't think Prescott's a problem at all. I think they could be really good. I think they have a lot of cap space for next year. I know a lot's going to Micah Parsons, but the cap's going up. So this was despite Jerry saying all in, this was okay, we know we can't spend a lot. We're going to bury this season, and next year is when we start spending money.
I heard that last year.
Yeah, but they didn't really have the money this year. So now they can spend next year. There are young offensive line gels. They have young stars on defense. Dak Prescott, I looked pretty happy last night. I feel like you could turn this around and be a good team really quickly if you hire Bill Belichick.
They were getting blown out with Dak Prescott. This is not something that happened yesterday or last week with Cooper Rush. And here's the thing. You signed him to a 4-year extension, right? And right now, Dak's stock is at an all-time low. But if he does play well and he can mentor the next quarterback, you also have to be thinking about this for the Cowboys. Unless you think Belichick is going to come in and win you a Super Bowl year 1, you're probably not picking in the top 5 again for a while. So instead of thinking you can pluck your next Tony Romo or your next Dak Prescott in either undrafted or these later rounds, how about actually getting a quarterback? And by the way, your connection to Deion helps you here. Because Deion Sanders has said he will steer Shedeur to a place that he trusts. And I think he does trust Jerry. Now, I don't know if that's good judgment, but he definitely trusts Jerry Jones.
Oh, my God. That would be it'd be so painful, though, to not draft a player that's going to play.
Okay, but you just laid out the scenario of the young players that they have on the offensive line. They have young players on defense? Does it even line up with the timeline of Dak Prescott? This is the perfect time to get a young quarterback in there who can grow with this young team.
All right, let's pull up any mock draft. I'll pull up CBS, our buddy Ryan Wilson. Travis Hunter, you're telling me you wouldn't rather have Travis Hunter there next year than the Shedeur Sanders? Passing on Travis Hunter, I hope for the Cowboys he doesn't get there and they pass on him, because that feels like a marriage made in heaven.
Okay, two things. Number one, what's the most important position in football?
QB.
Thank you. And two, what's Travis Hunter playing in the NFL?
He's returning kicks, he's returning punts, he's a cornerback, and he's a wide receiver. What isn't he playing is a better question.
He's not going to last if he's
Why do you
doing
say
all
that? He's lasting in college.
Has he? He got hurt last year. He got hurt this year. He's not going to last doing both. You talked about this with Shohei Ohtani, how Shohei's got to pick either hitting or pitching. This is a way more physically demanding sport. I think Travis Hunter, that's a whole other conversation we can have just about him specifically. I think he's going to have to pick a side here. And so if I'm the Cowboys, do I want quarterback or do I want utility man? And by the way, I love Hunter.
By the way, I don't even think if they pick, say, 5, I don't think Hunter's there for them anyway. So that is a...
Maybe
let me
he's
give you...
gone.
What if Mason Graham is there and, like, they are so desperate for a star interior defensive lineman? Like, I've never seen any team that needed a run stopper more in my entire life.
They've been drafting those guys. What was Mazzie Smith?
Mazzie Smith, they missed.
Michigan,
Yeah, he went
interior
27.
defensive line.
Mason Graham's like Gerald McCoy. I mean, he is like he's a generational defensive tackle. Next, Abdul Carter on Penn State. Are you telling me that guy's sitting there and you don't draft him to put him across from Parsons after Lawrence is gone after this year? I don't know. That'd be crazy. You can't give up a year. Jerry's 82. You can't wait. You can't bury it.
Okay, this is the year that's been, in effect, given up on. This is the year. You're sitting here
so you can't give up
3-7.
on that. But if you use a top 5 pick on a quarterback and don't play him, that's sort of giving up on next year.
No, it's not. It's trying to do both. You're going to have a good team for next year if you get back on track, and you're setting yourself up for the future so that you actually have a plan this time. Why is Dak Prescott, why did he get this 4-year, $240 million extension to begin with? Because the Cowboys had no plan. If they had a plan B, Dak's not getting this money. You're not tied into it, and you're actually probably feeling a lot better about your organization if you're a Cowboy fan.
That's easy to say now that Dak hamstring tore off his bone, but did you think that in August? Like, it kind of seemed after Trevor Lawrence and Tua got paid, oh, crap, we better pay Dak because this is the quarterback rate. So I think most of us were like, well, you didn't really have a choice.
Because they were not developing anyone behind him.
That's not how the NFL works. You don't develop it's not like there's a developmental quarterback behind you. You get a new guy. That's generally how you do it.
But how do the good teams do it? How do the Packers do it? How do the Kansas City Chiefs do it?
They've done, the Kansas City Chiefs.
How did the Ravens do it with Joe Flacco and Lamar?
The Kansas City Chiefs, how many times have they done that in the history of the franchise?
And was it one of the smartest things they ever did?
You say, how did they do it? They did it once. And because they picked Alex Smith off the trash heap, basically. Wow, he was okay with San Francisco. But generally, I don't think that was that's a franchise philosophy. Right, the Packers have done it twice. But it's not like that is like the end all to be all around the NFL. Like the great teams have this quarterback pipeline where there's a guy behind.
They got lucky. They had Dak behind Romo, and now he was a later round pick.
Yeah, that was blind luck. They picked him in the 4th round because he had a DUI during the draft process.
I'm just saying it worked though, and they don't repeat it. This is the thing about the Cowboys. They feels like they never learn from any of their past, both positives and negatives.
Well, they brought in Trey Lance. Isn't that similar?
But then we never saw him.
So you're saying...
And even you said McCarthy's West Coast system is not suited for somebody like Trey Lance who's going to run all the time.
But you can't say that Dak Prescott is proof of concept here. They took him in the 4th round. That's backup round.
I'm just saying, if they had any other possibility of a quarterback, do you think Dak's still getting that $240 million? I don't think so.
So, but that's not
it was not a no-brainer that Dak got that contract. We talked about it for months.
At the end, it seemed like I'd like to pull our audio from that day. It didn't seem like they had a lot of choice. You're not going to bring back Dak Prescott. You're just going to go into the season and let him walk.
No, the only reason why they brought him back is they didn't have a choice. Remember, I kept asking you, who are they going to bring in? Kirk Cousins? You're doing 1-for-1 there. They never had a plan, and now this is your fortune of what's happening this year. Last year's offseason is not going to look the same as this year's offseason because last year you weren't picking top 5. This year you might be.
But here's the thing: Trevor Lawrence is like the Jaguars. Nobody who got paid had an option behind him. I don't think there's this magical depth chart out there where people are leveraging. We talked earlier in the show about Brock Purdy's leverage. Like usually most teams go one deep at a quarterback. There's very, very rare exceptions, maybe 4 times in NFL history where there's been this pipeline where we got this guy like developing behind the bench. It just doesn't happen.
Well, but has it been successful when it has? And now the Cowboys have an opportunity to do it. It wasn't set up for them last year. This year it is set up for them.
Name another, like who's in the pipeline in Buffalo? No, of course no one.
But Dak Prescott and Josh Allen are not the same. They're not even close to being the same person. First of all,
this is so easy to say now that Dak Prescott is injured. Honestly, in August, it did not look like this. I think this is, you're not saying like, oh man, they should have had, like, who were they going to have behind them?
That's the point, Perloff. I'm telling you, the reason why Dak Prescott got paid is because they had no other options at quarterback. That was last year. Now this year, if you're choosing top 5, you give yourself a possibility to have a quarterback behind him.
But they spending $90 million of cap space on Dak Prescott, and you need that top 5 pick is a huge opportunity cost to get a superstar. You're going to get a great defensive player there.
So what you do is you showcase Dak for a year, and you're going to have teams who are going to want to take him.
No, there's nobody will ever pay that money to Dak Prescott.
You underestimate how desperate some teams can get for QBs.
Look at the details of that contract. There's just no way. I mean, there's nobody can take on that health risk for that much money. I mean, it's
and yet you're telling me the Cowboys shouldn't have a plan B. Like the Cowboys have a health risk with Dak. Things have changed since the contract got signed.
They can't afford to draft a player. They're not the Jets. They can't draft a player that will not be on the field. Like they need so many players. Like last night, they looked like a USFL team. I didn't even know half the guys lining up. They need talent everywhere. They need an infusion of young talent. So that you can't just, if you're number 5 and you pick a backup for 2 years, because Dak has 2 guaranteed years, he's got to be there unless he's going to start over Dak, and Dak's going to be an $80 million backup.
We're only talking about a year ago. This is a team that won 12 games. So you're saying that there's no talent on this team, but 2 years ago they won 12 games.
Yeah, they got old.
A year and a half ago.
They got old. Tyron Smith got old, Zach Martin got old, and DeMarcus Lawrence got old. So it happens. So they have to rebuild. Like, don't you think that they desperately need one of these defensive stars? They sit at 5, and there's like an all-pro pass rusher there. They're not going to take him.
Over a quarterback, I just don't know who would make that calculation when it comes to it. At the end of the day, you've got Micah Parsons, and you're about to pay him a boatload. Yeah. So I think I would definitely go quarterback. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4227. Big Dave is our pal in Kentucky. Hey, Dave.
What in the natural hell am I listening to this morning? I don't even know where to start. But let's start here. Let's go back to one of your most loyal callers, telling you guys in the world that Dak Prescott is a mediocre quarterback, and the concept of paying him $60 million a year was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard. Let me tell you a term that I am sick of hearing, and it's leverage. It's leverage. McLovin says it 1,000,000 times a day. He's got leverage. Look at the leverage. What's that paying off? You cannot pay a mediocre quarterback that kind of money and have that kind of cap hit against your team. And hope
but Dave, they did it already. You're right. They shouldn't have done it, but they did.
I'm saying conceptually it's stupid. It's stupid. He is what he is.
Yeah.
Second thing is, okay, 2 weeks ago, Maggie, what have you become? I was the one that said the Cowboys have to blow this up, and you laughed in my face.
Wait, Dave.
You moved Dak's contract up, and now this morning you're reciprocating the very thing that I said.
Dave, what's changed in the last few weeks? Your quarterback got hurt. You have 3 wins, and you're looking at potentially a top 5 pick if you keep losing. That changes things for the Cowboys. You're picking 27th. I don't know what you're going to do. You're picking top 5. Go for Shedeur.
You're missing my point.
What's that?
It went straight over your head, duck. That was my concept to start with, that you have to blow this up. And everybody, McLovin's saying, nobody's going to pay all that money. They don't have to. They're going to have to eat some money. But Dak Prescott is not the answer. He's never been the answer. He's hurt. He runs like Herman Munster, and now he's got another lower extremities injury. I mean, I don't understand you people sometimes. And this quarterback market is going to have to correct itself because these owners are finally going to figure out that just because you don't have a better option is not an option to hamstring your franchise for the next 5 years because you're grossly overpaying mediocre players.
Well, Dave, you're right about that. And I think the wide receiver market's probably going to correct itself a little bit too. But Dave, okay, I'll take you back to this, okay? Summertime. Actually, just got an email about this, wondering when I'm going to pay this bet off. I've got to go to a Waffle House, and I got to sit there for 24 hours and eat waffles, okay? Now, the reason I lost to McLovin on this bet is because I thought at the end the Cowboys would not pay Dak. That's what I thought. I thought at the end they were going to chicken out and they weren't going to pay him.
Was that the bet?
That's the bet. Dak Prescott got paid basically 3 days later, and I'm going to be sitting at a Waffle House soon. Roger, who sent the email. So I'm with you on this one. But then it's like, all right, well, now you've paid him, so now it feels like you made your bed. Another, as you said, another lower extremities injury, maybe looking at a top 5 pick. You got a whole new ball game here for the Cowboys.
I agree. To start with, I would be happy to sub in for the bet for you. I love Waffle House.
I'll meet you there.
Yeah.
But
wait, Dave. So you're Jerry Jones. You're sitting at 5 in the draft. You're not taking a potential defensive star. You're taking Shedeur Sanders to sit him until 2027.
Possibly. Why?
Oh.
I mean, possibly. I don't know. I mean, listen. Here's the bottom line: is this: the Cowboys are going down. This is more than just a bad season. I mean, their roster is in a position right now. Look at my Bengals. Okay, been a gross. They've grossly underachieved. They've been a huge failure this year. But they've got the number one quarterback in the league, number one in passing, the number one receiver, and the sack leader. I mean, they've got some components to build around. Dak Prescott is going to take you nowhere because if you think he's going to come out of this hamstring injury better off than he was before, I'm serious. I have said for a couple of years he has not been the same. He was mediocre, slightly above mediocre at best. After he broke the leg, watch the guy in the pocket, man. I mean, he runs like Herman Munster. I mean, and now another hamstring injury. You think that's going to get better over time?
No, Dave, it's not. Seriously. And when Dak Prescott doesn't run, it's obviously very much limits him. But Dave, I'm serious. I'll meet you at that Waffle House to pay off that bet.
Hey, I'm in. Listen, I could do some damage at a Waffle House. Listen, I'm on the upper side of 260. I mean, I'm a lean 260.
Yeah.
But
do you
I
round up or are you rounding down?
Well, I'm rounding down slightly.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, hey, great show, guys. Thanks.
Dave, you're the best. I just want to bring one thing to Perloff's calling me crazy because I think that the Cowboys with the top 5 pick should take Shedeur Sanders this year. But Perloff, you and I argued about what the Falcons did, having Kirk Cousins on a $100 million deal and drafting Michael Penix, and you loved it. What's the difference?
The Cowboys have so many more knees than the Falcons, and also that this draft there was no defensive star. I mean, they're going to be looking. I'm like salivating over the names they could add. Can you imagine Abdul Carter on one side and Micah Parsons on the other? I just think the difference is the Cowboys have all this pressure to win now, and Atlanta hasn't won in forever. I mean, when's the last time Atlanta was 12-5? It was a prime Matt Ryan. I can't even remember. I honestly, and I watched Atlanta now. I loved it because I want to see Penix. Like I want to see.
But they had Cousins.
I don't know why Cousins is there. Like Cousins serves no purpose. I would just go straight to Penix right now. I love it because I think they got one of the better quarterbacks. That being said, the Cowboys is totally different because they have 3 years at $90 million of cap hit per year. Like they're going to have no space to do anything. Like they're going to have a terrible roster around Shedeur by the time he finally gets on the field.
Listen, this is the time it even doubles down on my point.
Shedeur's old too.
Have a cheap quarterback though.
Yeah, but
you can the first 5 years of that quarterback contract give you a little bit of leeway.
So you lose 2 because Dak's got to be there. Dak is going nowhere for 2 years unless Dak's going to be the backup.
I think it's Dak Prescott that, in my vision, plays well, and you create a market for Dak Prescott.
That's where I would call you crazy. That not the drafting Shedeur thing. That there's logic to that, like the Patrick Mahomes. But there's just no way. Nobody's taking, as Dave said, a guy whose hamstring is not on his bone, who's $90 million of cap hit.
Well,
it's the biggest cap hit by a huge. It makes Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson look small. It's so gigantic.
There's another scenario where you're also betting that Dak Prescott is probably going to get hurt again. and then insurance is going to take a lot of that money, and he's going to end up either having to miss a lot more time with injuries because he can't run and can't protect himself, and you're going to need a quarterback anyway.
That's a Hail Mary.
He's gotten hurt now 2 out of the last 3 years.
And he's coming back. I mean, honestly, for
how long? Until he just gets hurt again?
For $80 million, I would come back too.
Adrian's in Maryland. Adrian, you think I'm bugging out?
Maggie, you're crazy. I think you've been on that treadmill and you're losing oxygen to your head because that's a crazy scenario. There's no way they draft Shedeur. They take the pick. If it's a 5 pick, they're going to move down, get a couple picks with that. They got Sam Mills coming back, edge rusher.
Sam Williams.
During training camp. They got Bland coming back. They got a number of guys just coming back. And Dak, Maggie, you're saying if he comes back and plays well, and you get takers from him, you're not going to get takers because they're playing well. Why would you trade a guy that's playing well?
Because you have a plan, and the plan is ultimately to upgrade at quarterback. And that would be with the younger version of Shedeur. And what does that also do? Everyone wants young quarterbacks for flexibility. But Adrian, here's my question to you, right? You hear Deion saying, I'm going to have a say. I'm going to use private influence to try to get both Shedeur and Travis Hunter to places that they want to, that he thinks are winning organizations, right?
Okay, I'm listening.
What do you think he's talking about?
You think he's talking about Dallas?
I don't think he's talking about Cleveland.
I don't think he's talking about Dallas.
So where's he talking about? Where, the Giants? Who's he talking about? The Vegas Raiders? The Cowboys look like the 49ers of the 90s compared to them.
You guys want them to think that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about that. He's talking about just going to a good organization. They're not going to have a choice on where he goes. If he says that I'm not going here, he's going to basically get blackballed from the NFL. Because they don't play that. This is not the NBA.
Yeah, but Eli Manning didn't get blackballed.
What was that, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
How long ago was it? And it didn't really work out. It worked out. They got the Super Bowl. He didn't play well.
Adrian, they got 2 Super Bowls out of it. Eli Manning's going to the Hall of Fame.
Maggie, they went on a run on those Super Bowls.
Okay, we'll talk about Eli another time, but it definitely worked out.
Okay. Well, let's get back to this. Shedeur Sanders is not going to the Cowboys. They're gonna move down. They're gonna take the draft picks because they got so many holes in this team. So many holes they have to fill in this team.
Adrian, you guys got to start thinking outside the box. You got to start thinking a little more like Jerry. Adrian, thank you so much. Sorry, we're up against it, dude. Good to hear from you.
You're being funny, right?
What's Jerry about?
He's drafting left guards in the top 23 a year in, year out.
It's about sales. 855-212, selling you hope. 855-212-4227. We got to take a break. What do you think? Cowboys, crazy to draft a quarterback, crazy not to. Got to keep losing. That's important here. Got to keep losing. Short-term pain for long-term gain. You can call us 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Peter Bellotti, he made a prediction, said that he gonna win. Celtics got no conviction, but now he's hiding, running away, won't own up to his words, can't face the dismay. He thought Miami would rise like the sun in the sky, but now he's got excuses, got no alibi. Thought that he'd had it playing hide and seek, leaving us in the fold. Peter Bellotti, he made a pretty.
Manny and EJ, they're diehard Knicks fans, living in the Big Apple, they're part of the grand plan.
Lee Bellotti's got something to say, infinity's mice, he's feeling the dismay. No NBA on NBC, what a shame. Just JJ Redick's wine ain't the same. Peter Bellotti is getting upset. Maggie, Perloff, can you hear his plea? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Set his spirit free, he misses Mar. Co-stars and the crew, those were the days. Pete cries out boo, boo. Bring it back, oh can't you see? Bring back the NBA on NBC. Let it be. Pete's mad, he's feeling sad. Bring it back, oh make it right.
Maggie's got some giant feet, they're the talk of the town. When she walks the sidewalk cracks, she's bringing buildings down. She tried to buy some shoes, but they said no way. Now she's wearing boat sails just to get through the day. Maggie's giant feet, they're a real big deal. Stepping on puddles, creating lakes for real. Maggie's giant feet, they make a mighty thud. But Maggie just laughs, hey, it's all in good fun. She went to a dance, cleared out the floor. Her feet made the music, folks yelled for more. At the beach she's a hit, making giant sand castles. Her footprint's so big, they're like dinosaur battles. She went to
Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. I want to go back to last segment toward the end real quick, Maggie.
Yeah.
When you said think like Jerry Jones, you were kidding, right?
But just soak your brain in Johnny Walker Blue and then get out there.
But you said that he likes to make big marketing moves, and there is not a single more boring drafting team in the history of the NFL. They don't draft anybody. They draft guard, tackle, guard, tackle. My plan is simple. You want to draft Shedeur Sanders, have him sit behind Dak Prescott. I want to hire Bill Belichick. And Bill Belichick, when he got to New England, drafted like 1 million massive defensive linemen. I want to win with Bill Belichick defense, and Dak will just be a caretaker, and you can bring the glory back quickly in Dallas. Because you don't have a lot of time. You don't have time to wait for Shedeur Sanders. The
Why
cap
not?
hit.
This is
Jerry's 82.
What
You're
does
not
it
going to wait
matter?
till 2027 to play your first round pick. You need so much help. In fact, by the way, I like what a caller said, trade down and get me Ashton Genty. Like I have all sorts of plans with these draft picks. I'm going to get 3 first rounders out of that top 5 pick.
All right. Well, good luck then filling the most important need on your football team. You can talk about running back. We can talk about pass rush. You can talk about interior offensive linemen. I'm going to be honest with you. The Cowboys have some talent. It's not like they have none.
Yeah, but
Somehow
it's
they
all
won
hurt
12
this year.
games last year. Right. So maybe this year isn't your year. And to not take advantage of potentially having a top 5 pick and taking a quarterback to set yourself up is pretty silly to me.
Well,
And-
yeah, but you have this
and-
$90 million a year cap hit going with Dak Prescott.
Here's the thing, though, about that. Number one, Dak is now, I think, officially, I don't say injury prone, but he's a quarterback on the wrong side of 30 who's now dealt with multiple lower body injuries. If
We
you
knew
don't-
that before.
But this latest one is ripping the hamstring off the bone.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's getting worse, and I just don't understand why you also wouldn't use this unprecedented moment where you have one of your former stars, their kid happens to be a great quarterback, and the star player, we're talking about Deion Sanders, of course, has said he wants to use his influence to get his son to a place that he wants him to go. And I don't think he's talking about Cleveland.
Do you believe that?
So put 2 and 2 together there. If the Cowboys have a top 5 pick, to me, a no-brainer. But you're welcome to weigh in at 855-212-4227. I don't think he's talking about Cleveland.
No, honestly,
the same way.
I don't think it's going to be a great quarterback draft either. Obviously, there's teams that are going to be tanking the following year for Arch. There's just it just doesn't feel right to me to go with Shedeur. Shedeur is also a bit older. He's going to turn 23 in February, so it definitely has to wait because you can't get rid of Dak's contract, and you can't have Dak as a backup. It just feels like there's just a lot of needs. Like, you could really go for it next year, and you have to. I know, I'm sorry, I'm sounding like Jerry. Like, you got to be all in, Maggie.
Okay, well, do you think the Denver Broncos are making the playoffs this year? Probably, right?
All in.
On the fringe?
Probably because their schedule was so awful. But.
Well, okay, but they're winning games with a rookie quarterback, right?
Right.
And what do they have to do? They took an unprecedented cap hit. It's not easy. It's not fun. Nobody wants to take this cap hit and see Russell Wilson probably also make the playoffs, so I understand it. But they're doing it. And now they're set up with Bo Nix because they didn't let the fact that a contract got in the way. And it's just not the same as a couple months ago when they gave Dak this contract because he got hurt again and your season's off the rails. So you got to take the opportunity that's in front of you. That's all I'm saying.
You think he's talking about Dallas?
Yeah, but also you have to win immediately because you're in Dallas. Denver's probably what it could be like 9-8, maybe make the playoffs. Big deal. Like Dallas, like there's a formula. Everybody gets back next year. They can spend some money next year. Like you have that kind. The reality is you are stuck with that deal. So you have Dak Prescott there. You got to go for it.
Bogish is here with headlines for us on this fine Tuesday morning.
Good morning again. These headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Progressive is proud to support veterans and small businesses with their annual Keys to Progress vehicle giveaway program, helping our heroes drive their lives forward. Learn more at keystoprogress.com. Well, I was a cute cart girl at a golf course in high school. Texans never trailed last night in Dallas, but took their time putting away the Cowboys. Cooper Rush and company had their chances to get back in the game, but never took advantage.
We just got to get the ball in the end zone. We keep shooting ourselves in the foot. Had a couple chances, couple momentum there in the second half especially, that we just didn't punch it in.
The Cowboys fumbled twice on the same play, the Texans returning the second one for a touchdown. There was also a fourth down failure after the Cowboys took a 64-yard Brandon Aubrey field goal off the board, accepting a penalty instead to continue that drive. In the end, they lost 34-10, extending their losing streak to 5 and keeping them winless at home now through 5 games, all on a night that began with a piece of sheet metal falling from the roof to the field as that roof opened. So Jerry had a lot of explaining to do post-game.
Fixable, but you didn't have, it wasn't the situation, time, or otherwise to do it tonight. And certainly there was no risk at all to anybody on the field playing once we shut the roof.
Wind apparently was also to blame for all of this. Maybe more importantly, Jones said Mike McCarthy has not lost the locker room despite being 3-7. Ravens head coach John Harbaugh showing support yesterday for struggling kicker Justin Tucker.
He's definitely our best option, and he's going to make a lot of kicks. I really believe that going forward. But it's up to him. It's up to him and the guys he works with every day to make those balls go straight.
There's also medicine for that.
Manhood looks different from guy to guy, but when yours bends in a different direction, you might feel bothered by it. So talk to a urologist.
Grow up, bogus.
Wait, is this the commercial that your son Jake asked you about?
Yeah, the
carrot?
Peyronie's disease?
Yeah, the weird carrot.
Peyronie's disease, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, the website for the information is bentcarrot.com, which I just found getting the audio of the commercial.
Is that also listed on the side of the Wicked Barbie? Inadvertently, you guys heard that one where they accidentally put a porn site on the side of the Barbie doll package?
Whoops.
Come on. Where's our quality control?
WickedXXX.com.
Yeah. Whoop. They didn't think it was that? Wow. And so what'd you tell Jake? It's a serious medical disease?
Don't look at me, please. Yes. I think I've blocked it out. It was so traumatic. I don't remember the details.
Jake's how old?
Jake's about to be 11.
See, that's why I have 2 girls. Like, I don't have to field any of those questions. That's straight to mom category. I feel bad for you guys with boys because I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, I'm definitely. I'm outsourcing this to my husband.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't
So
know.
you're good.
No,
yeah.
can I tell you I once had to. This is probably embarrassing, but
You're on a roll this morning.
Let's hear it.
okay. So my kid is 5, right?
Oh boy.
How do I want to put this? I'd rather him just take a whiz outside than go in a porta potty. You guys get what I'm talking about, right?
Sure.
Like if it's not a crowded area, if it's like a park or something, I'm like, I don't want to go in
yeah.
a yucky, stinky, awful porta potty when you're just going to stand there anyway. You're 5 years old. I can probably get away with this for another year or two where you can just I can just sort of cover you.
Definitely.
Right. But I don't really know much about the peeing outside, standing up thing.
There's not much to know.
Right. So when he first getting started, I'm like, is it going to get on his clothes? Like I was worried about that, like on his.
I mean, it's not.
What?
Like if it's,
It's got some force behind it.
No, he's not just going to
yeah.
pee down his leg. I get that. But at the end, when you're like running out of steam at the end, and it kind of
Would that
dribbles
happen
onto
in a porta potty too? I'm not sure I understand the dynamics of the outside compared to say anywhere else.
Hey, you got to watch out for the wind.
Well, yeah.
The way the wind is blowing, maybe the sun is getting into your eyes, kind of like Jerry Jones is.
Do you have to do like a kicker and like pick up some blades of grass?
Well,
and
how would
throw
it work
into the
in the-
wind?
Yeah, that's what all men do, Maggie.
In the porta potty, I don't even want to ask this. Like, how does that work? You have to go
There's
in
like
there
a
with
urinal in the porta potty.
Yeah, but don't you have to lift him up to
I
get
do.
to that?
That's what I. So
Yeah.
I know
Yeah,
it's
so
all
can't-
going in the porta potty. I know it's not going to like get on his shoes and clothes.
Listen.
Oh, I
it
see.
still
I
gets
see.
on your
The
shoes at
drips.
44. Don't worry about it at
okay.
5.
See, I don't know these things.
Yeah, it happens.
You guys got
Yeah.
pee on your shoes?
I just go in the bathroom right here. There's plenty of pee right on the floor.
Everywhere.
Right
Yeah. You go into a porta potty. What do you think is getting on the bottom of your shoes?
No, I get that.
Yeah.
But wait, you guys can't aim?
That is, I think every man, I guess I speak for all the men who live with women, that is one of the number one issues that come up at some point.
Yeah.
Pee on the floor? I've been married
mostly
for
on
a
the
decade.
toilet,
My
but
husband
some
doesn't
people
pee on
have
the floor.
floor.
Well, there's like a spray. Like there's like ricochets and stuff like that. Like
Right.
it happens.
Yeah,
And then,
it gets rough
and then
sometimes.
He's like, what the hell's going on?
Manny, you got a wind fan in there?
It's rough sometimes.
An oscillating fan?
Being a man is very difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It really
Wow.
is. We don't get enough credit for that.
I know.
So we have a very small apartment. And
Yeah, men
sometimes-
never get credit.
So my wife
for
will
anything.
store things behind the toilet. I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, that's a spray zone right there. You can't put the kid's brush collection right underneath the toilet. I mean, I don't know
Maybe she
technically,
trusts you.
but like on like a microscopic level, yeah, I'm sure they're like it's impossible. There's no 100. To answer your question, like the accuracy is not 100%. But I think you would have even more issues in a porta potty. I can't even imagine. What if there wasn't a little urinal thing on the side? You had to hold them over that disgusting hole.
That'd be awful.
Yeah, outside is the way to go.
Outside is the
Until
way to go.
until he's 16.
He also does this funny thing. This is like this is obviously going to stop, but it's kind of cute. If he'll ever go to the bathroom outside, like in our backyard or something like that, he pulls his pants all the way down to his ankles. It's so hilarious.
Yeah,
I just stopped that.
My daughters. I hope
We've been
told me
meaning to
to.
tell you. HR wants to see it.
I had a daughter who was really into going outside on the streets in New York City, like
Whoa.
like at 2.
Yeah.
So she would just drop down and squat. Like if there was a tree, there'd be like a golden retriever on one side of the tree and her on the other side of the tree.
Maybe this is your daughter. I saw a lady one time pick up her kid and plop him down on like an oversized like potted plant in Rockefeller Center, basically. And he went to the bathroom in the plant.
Sitting or standing?
Sitting.
Like the real deal.
That I don't know.
Were they like potty
I don't
training
know
where you're
what
just
they
like
did, but he had his pants down. She picked him up. She sat him in this huge, like oversized pot for like a tree, basically.
God,
So
I love
his
the
bare
city.
tushy is in the soil?
Or at least too close for comfort.
Yeah,
and,
no.
like, he was doing his business in front of, and everyone was looking at like, what is happening right now?
Rockefeller
No.
Center. That's hilarious.
Well,
There's
now-
no more public place in the world.
Yeah.
Well, you guys remember during COVID, like basically everything was shut down. So even if you went to a public park, everything was closed, including the bathrooms.
Yeah, they did close.
So when we went to Orchard Park or Orchard Beach, the amount of people who were just literally peeing
In the wind.
everywhere.
Oh, gross.
Everywhere. Just you turn around a tree, there's someone peeing. Oh, there's a kid just in the water, just like squatting, smiling. It was one of the most gross experiences we've ever had. Oh my God, that was me and Andrea will never forget it. This kid runs into the water, turns around, squats, and just starts smiling. Where it's like, don't go near that kid, buddy.
Well,
that kid's doing something nasty in there.
There's a weird thing about kids when you're potty training them. They lock eyes with you when they're going. It's so odd.
That's nice.
Actually, that I don't remember.
You don't remember? Your kid never locked eyes with you?
No.
Bogus, you ever get locked into your child's eyes while they were potty training?
I mean, I couldn't leave the room.
Yeah.
I guess
But then when they're going, they don't lock eyes.
You don't want to leave the room, but you do not know what's going to be there when you get back.
Stay with me while I do
Talk about inaccuracy.
I'm still in there with him. He's like, stay with me. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah. No, my daughters want to have a full-on conversation back then. By the way, you talking about in the water. You talking about the ocean, EJ? Because the ocean is basically a gigantic
it was the
porta
ocean, but
potty.
it was also the park because like there's a beach and there's a big park right next to it too. So even because we weren't actually really on the beach, we were more in the park, and just the park, it was everywhere you turned around.
Yeah.
If you actually thought about going in the ocean, we'd never go in.
Well, but by the way, like every time, you know what? I think I'm going to take a quick dip. I'll be in for 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Well, I look up in the
Newsflash,
sky.
I just peed in the ocean. Just so everyone here knows that. just get it right. You get into that level of water that's just right above your waist. Yeah, I peed in the ocean. I have no shame with that.
Have you ever seen the movie Dirty Rotten Scoundrels? I know Pete Bellotti has. He's seen it before.
Watching it right now, probably.
With Steve Martin.
Yeah.
And they do the
Great
con
movie.
man thing. He goes, do you mind if I go to the bathroom?
Oh,
and
it
just
is
sits
fair,
there and stares off into space. Thank you. Great scene.
I'm a great time.
Joel Embiid played last night in Miami despite being sick, but the Sixers still lost again, 106-89. Philly is now 2-11. Third-ranked Gonzaga winning at San Diego State last night, 80-67. Number 19, Wisconsin, had to rally to beat UT Rio Grande Valley in Madison, 87-84. And UMass football fired head coach Don Brown yesterday before the end of his third season. OC Shane Montgomery has to run the team starting Saturday at Georgia.
Oh, good luck, buddy.
Congratulations, Shane. Back to you guys.
They must really hate him.
I mean, if you're firing the guy, doesn't he have to coach at Georgia to take that shellacking?
Yeah, it's a bad idea. This is like calling the team meeting right before you play Georgia. Like, it's not going to work. Everyone knows you call the team meeting before you play a team you're going to beat. So it looks like it worked.
I'm very pro, like, no punishment. Just go out there and just get destroyed. I'm very pro. I like that.
That's the real punishment.
Yeah.
No, you save the guy. He doesn't
Yeah,
even have to coach against
now
Georgia
some
now.
assistant is gonna like get the brunt of this, and the assistant didn't do anything wrong.
Bogus, thank you. I think we learned a lot in that segment. 855-212-4227. Question for you: should the Cowboys take a quarterback if they're drafting in the top 5? Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
He's got that hungry look, sitting down for breakfast like a king in a nook. Give me that croissant and make it fucking nice, and don't forget that fresh squeezed OJ is my vice. He's just ordering big, what a fucking sight. $30 on breakfast, man, it's out of sight. And you Perloff sweat and can't escape this shit. Lost the bet, now he's paying, it's a hell of a fit. EJ's the king and he's ruling this show. Maggie and Perloff gotta go with the flow. Fresh squeezed OJ, get it in my hand. Bow to your king, obey my command. But where's Peter Bellotti? He's gone again. The king's in power, but we're missing our friends. Andrew Bogush with updates on blast. Gonzaga, Miami, and the Knicks kicking ass. Perloff's on juicer, Maggie's on call. King EJ's the Manzer at his beck and call. saying this year's the chance, but the Celtics showed up and led the dance. Jason's joking hard, Jalen's running wild, while EJ's sitting there looking like a sad child. There's nowhere to be. EJ's day, he's calling the shots. Maggie and Perloff filling royal slots. Fresh squeezed OJ, no pulp in my glass. Maggie chop chop, make it snappy and fast. But where's Peter Bellotti? He's managed again. The King's got his throne, but Pete's got MIA's land. And Drew Bogus gives updates all day, no rest on Gonzaga, Miami, and the Mets at their best. Won the game, Alec Willis led the way, throwing downs and running fast, make defenders pay. But we all know the real story ain't the win or play, it's Bellotti stay back. They'll dodge another day with the meat. Pete, we're all stopping here. Promised us summer ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. Bellotti's MIA, many always hit. Some ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. Bellotti's MIA, many always hit. Showing up to work, no, that's not his style. He's out on a vacation, gonna take a while. He bet us stakes, but we'll never get our share, cause Bellotti's at home in his favorite chair. Where's the meat? Pete, we're all starving here. Promised us summer ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. Bellotti's MIA, many always hit. Where's the meat, Pete? We're all starving here. Promised us some ribeyes, but you always disappear. Stakes on the line, but you're off the grid. Bellotti's MIA, many always hit.
45 seconds remaining.
Why can't babies just be babies?
Thirty seconds remaining.
Glass gleaming, who brought stripes and bright
All right, you're way off. Forget it. You're gone already.
Glass gleaming, who brought stripes and bright
All right, you're way off.
15 seconds.
Pete Bellotti, you have any bad luck recently?
Break ends in 5 seconds.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the armed forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. All right, well, Danielle Hunter had a big game last night for the Texans, but I think EJ is going to not going to do the obvious thing and go with the most recent thing. I think he's going to go further back. Got to be football, and I don't have a guess yet.
Okay, I've got two guesses. Someone on the Lions.
Oh, come on.
They won 52-6.
You don't get Defensive Player of the Week for beating up Mac Jones.
Perfect.
The second is the guy who, for the Bears, who blocked the field goal. For the Packers that blocked the Bears field goal.
It's not Special Teams Player of the Week. It's Defensive Player of the Week.
I know, but it prevented a field goal. It won the game for them. Maybe EJ's just sort of like taking a liberty.
How about I'll go with Braden Fisk, who I keep on trying on the Rams because he almost murdered Drake May, and he is unbelievable. Rookie defensive lineman.
He's a really good player, but you guys are not close on Defensive Player of the Week this
What
week.
sport? What sport? College football?
We're going basketball. We're going NBA. And Defensive Player of the Week this week is Dyson Daniels, who had 4 blocks in the Hawks' road win over the Sacramento Kings last night, 109-108. The key play being his block on De'Aaron Fox on what would have been potentially a go-ahead game winner at the buzzer. Dyson Daniels is quickly becoming one of the best on-ball defenders in the NBA. So as much as I don't have love for the Hawks, I think Dyson Daniels deserves some praise. So he gets Defensive Player of the Week.
I think we need to take Defensive Player of the Week away from EJ next week. I think he gets suspended to Manny. I think he gets suspended for 1 week. That is the worst choice in November.
4 blocks last
you
night.
have 4 months of NBA season to do NBA players. Why are you not doing football?
I do football almost every week. This week did not have a lot of football picks. Like, there really wasn't a lot of standouts. Maggie picked a special teams player.
But technically, it blocked a field goal. I think it falls into the category.
Get ready, Manny. Maggie, you and I have the name on the show. We get to vote. Do you agree with me? EJ should lose a week for Dyson Daniels.
I'm not sure because EJ putting aside his personal rivalry with the Atlanta Hawks, I commend.
I hate
because
those clowns.
We're on in Atlanta.
This dude's a G League level player.
No, that's not true. He's had a very good year.
He was in the G League this year.
I don't think he has. Dyson Daniels? No.
He's a Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Alex in the back is upset about this.
Alex in the back.
Dyson Daniels has played very well for the Hawks this year.
If the season were to end right now, he'd get Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, we get another NBA head on our show. You're now forever known as Alex in the back.
Alex, you're an idiot. There's no way Dyson Daniels is getting the Defensive Player of the Year.
3 steals a game.
So what?
You know who next week's Defensive Player is going to be? OG Anunoby.
Oh, my
right,
God.
Manny.
You're suspended too. Alex,
you want to go to
I don't know who you are, Alex, but you're picking Defensive Player of the Week next week.
Alex in the back now gets it. And it's going to be, if you make it Dyson Daniels again, then you're officially hired because that would be hilarious. Okay, let's go to the phones. Nate is our pal in Alaska. Checking in. Nate, how's the weather? How's the snow? How are you holding up?
Well, I am holding up well. I actually wanted to say, first off, whenever you're going back to that guy who was talking about hair and you're talking about the old pictures, you're talking about the Kodak moment. You missed that. That's what it was.
Oh, a Kodak moment. I didn't miss that. I know exactly what you're talking about, Nate. Yes, that was Phil in Pennsylvania. Quickly, Phil and his wife once a year allow a hairdresser in Texas to just do their hair sight unseen. Like they get surprised by the dye, the style, and they have it for like 3 or 4 months. So we wanted Phil to send us a photo of the finished product, but he said he didn't have an email address. So then we figured out you can actually text a photo to an email address. Our email address is maggieandperloff@gmail.com. All right, Nate, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm not here looking for your guys' phone numbers. All right, so give me one thing. Do you want the animal update because it's a big one, or do you want what I wanted to say?
We want the animal update. We only have about 30 seconds though, Nate. Go ahead.
Okay, the animal update is a dead humpback whale just beached itself 2 miles from me.
Wow. Sorry to hear that for the
so
whale.
So it's a giant frozen whale that is 2 miles from me. Oh. And the other thing that I wanted to say, I mean, you guys can go on with that if you
Wait a minute, hold on, Nate. 15 seconds.
30 seconds.
I'm sorry. How are you going to get this thing off the beach?
I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
Is anyone here a marine biologist?
Got to carve
I know
that bad boy up.
Load it up with dynamite.
Oh my gosh, Nate! Loaded up with dynamite.
No, look up that video. One of you guys that happened in the 70s.
Seen it many times.
We're not going to do it.
All right, we got to take a break. And do we ever? Nate, a humpback whale? Oh no.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
CJ gets the snap. Here's Mixon running to the right. He's got all day. Runs across the goal line. 2 TDs on the evening for Monday Night Mixon.
It would be 3 by the time the evening was over. Thank you to Mark Vandermeer of Texans Radio. And it felt like a Texans home game in Dallas last night. It certainly sounded like one. Huge cheers after all of Mixon's touchdowns. And it was 34-10 as the final score. Dallas's season is effectively over.
Yeah, Monday Night Mixon's a pretty good alliteration. I like that. I get it for the Cowboys fans. I'm even amazed that they had any in there. At least there weren't as many empty seats last night. You know, is this Jerry Jones's worst nightmare? Are they irrelevant?
Yeah. I mean, and I listen, there's still interesting things about the Cowboys and what they're going to do this offseason and if they're going to hire a new coach and all that. But I mean, that's kind of the same. There are a lot of teams that are in that same boat. What I think is going to differentiate the Cowboys and their offseason from everyone else is I think they are going to seriously be in play for Shedeur Sanders if they keep losing. Now, that's the key. Last night, some details from the evening, if you want them. is Trey Lance never got in the game, and Jerry Jones is saying Cooper Rush is still going to be the quarterback. Now, I would think that the goal now is not to win games, and I know that sounds silly, but you want the highest draft pick possible at this point, Perloff. Like, you and see maybe what you have with Trey Lance. To have Cooper Rush in there makes no sense to me. You're 3-7. It's over.
I mean, I genuinely disagree. Like, they're not in the quarterback market because of their cap hit with Dak. So I don't know that this is a team that really wants to lose out, because losing is kind of bad on your culture. I just don't want them to have no effort under Mike McCarthy. And it doesn't matter. Really, honestly, if they pick 7 or 10, I don't think it makes a huge difference, especially this year's draft.
I never said the effort had to go away. There's a way to lose, which is you just play the young guys.
That's what they did last night. I didn't even know I've never heard of half the players they had out by the fourth quarter.
Exactly. So keep doing that, right? Yeah. But I would also just sub out Cooper Rush and I would put in Trey Lance there.
Yeah, Trey Lance can run. He might win you some games too.
I think
Trey Lance what is his career record? I think he's above 500. He'll win some close games for sure.
How many games has he started? 4?
Like 5. But Trey Lance, there's a formula. Trey Lance is, first of all, not that bad. And second of all,
how would we know what Trey Lance is? We have no clue.
Trey Lance 2-2 in his career.
And those were San Francisco starts. Those weren't Dallas starts.
Yes.
So I think that's what I would do if I were them, because now they're just, you're right, Perloff. They're just like every other team now. They're just one of the other 2-win, 3-win mediocre teams who are going to be in the market likely for a coach and who are going to play out the string here as the long goodbye. That's it.
I didn't say they're just like any other team, because I don't think, let's be realistic. They're not like any other team. They are the Dallas Cowboys. I know we could be the bigger men and bigger women and not treat the Cowboys like they're special, but they're special.
It's just because the fan base is so spread out.
Yeah. But I think they get more attention, and they have just having that star in your helmet makes you a bigger name. So I do think you have to pay attention to Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb. And the players that are there, they merit attention because of the star. And it's stupid. And I agree with everyone who says, oh, the media talks too much about the Cowboys. It's probably somewhere out there listening to this now and said, why are you talking about the Cowboys? The reality is they are interesting, and you could make it a case that next year they could be good. I know maybe I'm a Pollyanna, but they have a lot of dudes coming back next year, and that they have some money to spend. And theoretically, they could, in my opinion, draft a really good defensive player in the top 10. They could be good next year.
Okay, that money's going to Micah Parsons. So,
but there's actually the cap's going up next year. There's a lot of money. Like, they could really do some things.
See, I'm not doing that again this year, because I don't want to hear all in, because that means nothing. And
all in.
They paid Dak and they paid CeeDee Lamb, although it took forever. And they're going to pay Micah Parsons. It's going to take forever. We already know how this offseason is going to go for the Cowboys. It's going to be like Groundhog Day. So to think that the outcome is now all of a sudden going to be different, to me, is silly. Now, Bill Belichick into the building, maybe, but I could see it going really badly with Belichick also. I don't know if it's a slam dunk that automatically means Lombardi trophy.
I know what you mean, but actually, don't worry about the words all in. The actions were save money for next year. Like, they didn't sign Derrick Henry. They didn't sign another receiver. They didn't sign anybody. They re-signed Dak and they re-signed CD, but they generally took the offseason off, meaning, hey, we're going to have a lot of cap space for next year. I do agree they'll pay Parsons, but they can do some things next year. This year, for some reason, they're like, we're going to pause and do it next year.
Yeah, why did they punt on this season?
I don't know. I think that they were trying to give McCarthy, I think it had something to do with, the theory out there, it's not mine, is that they wanted to give McCarthy a year to see if he could win with his team and then really go all in next year with a new coach.
Okay, then you did you did kind of waste a year then.
Yeah, listen, if they had signed Derrick Henry, if they had done a bunch of things in the offseason, this might be different. But then everybody got hurt. A lot of good young players got hurt. A caller mentioned Sam Williams. He was ready to break out. He got hurt. Marshawn Nealon looked great. He got hurt. Everybody is kind of hurt. So next year, you lose Zach Martin, that's going to kill you. But I think there's talent coming back. Again, there's a lot that has to go right. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you, but you're going to have some really good players. You just sort of need to toughen up. Even last night, their vulnerability, their run is just, they cannot fix this thing. Mike Zimmer was supposed to come in and fix a run, right? The new defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but they didn't add enough linebackers to help you do that type of thing. So, again, I think Jerry's selling that dirty 4-letter word, hope. He's such a salesman. And I just think it sets up here where if you are picking in the top 5, let's be honest, and this is maybe a backhanded compliment for the Cowboys, but they're usually not picking in the top 5. They're not winning Super Bowls, but they're also not bad enough to be in the top 5. So you do that. You tell yourself the lie that every team tells themselves, which is we're not going to be here again. So this is why you go get a quarterback when you actually have a chance. Because you hit on Romo undrafted, you hit on Dak Prescott 4th rounder. You really feel like you're going to hit another diamond in the rough QB?
He definitely does. Jerry's totally convinced that he's going to do that.
Hope again.
But I mean, they were at number 10 the year they took Micah Parsons and traded down. Like, I think Jerry likes that kind of thing. Like, he's like, "Ooh, if I'm sitting at 10 and I can get another Micah Parsons, that's not bad." I think they have a lot of options on defense next year.
855-212-4227 if you like my idea about Shedeur Sanders. Listen, for all the people saying Deion should be the coach, this is actually, I would say, I don't know if it's more of a sure thing, but I'd want Shedeur before I want Deion.
Yeah, but okay, let me ask you this question. Would you rather have Shedeur or Travis Hunter?
See, here's the thing about Travis Hunter, and we're going to have this conversation in a serious one. What position is he playing?
Yes.
Just on the field.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't had, really, CeeDee Lamb's a good player, but there hasn't been someone explosive in that building for a long time.
So he's playing offense.
He's going to be like Deion. He's going to play offense, and he's going to be a constant threat defensively to find, kind of like Deron Bland and Trevor Diggs have been the last couple of years. Constant threat to return a pick, constant threat as a punt returner, constant threat everywhere. He'd be amazing.
Okay. I'm worried about Hunter holding up at the pro level, trying to do both. Trying to do a little bit of everything. Because,
Deion did it.
Yeah, but you know what? Deion might be one of one.
I don't know. It sure feels like there's a second Deion on right now, and he's playing for Deion.
Yeah, but you know, Travis Hunter played 9 games last year. He missed time. This is at the college level, and that was playing a Pac-12 schedule, right? Now we're in the Big 12. Now he has been able to stay somewhat healthy, and he's going to win the Heisman, which is so awesome. And I think he's a great player. But you're telling me that's a slam dunk? He's going to hold up in the pro level, playing both ways?
I think that's the player that I heard Troy mention him last night. I think that is the player that Cowboys fans covet. I mean, just imagine and it's only because of the cap space with Dak. To me, like you're going to spend $90 million of cap space on your quarterback and not go for it, like just have somebody sitting behind him. You bring in Travis Hunter, like there's an excitement there, even more than Shedeur. He is so exciting. Like who's not going to want to watch that guy day one?
I get it, but what's the more important position on the field?
Definitely, your logic totally rides, except for that cap issue with Dak. It's way bigger than even Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. It's a gigantic hit. Like you have no chance of building a good team around Shedeur. Like
Do you believe
he'll take
that?
over in 27. He won't have any receivers. He won't have a running back. He might have a line, but it's not going to be a great team.
I do think you got to be a clear picture of what exactly Travis playing both sides of the ball is. Because we mentioned Deion. Deion was more of a gadget player on offense. Like the most targets he ever had was one season was 67, and the next closest was 11 targets. Like he was not an offensive player.
But quarterbacks were really terrified of throwing an interception because Deion, once he caught an interception, forget it. And you already have 2 quarterbacks. So you could have Travis Hunter just float around and make plays. Like he's going to be fantastic. I don't think he gets there. I think he's going really high. I think because I think he'll play both. He's very valuable as a cornerback. As a receiver, he's good, but as a quarterback, he's really valuable. And I think he goes top 3.
No, I'm not discounting the talent. I'm just wondering, to EJ's point, like how many offensive snaps does he actually play?
Yeah, I mean,
because you got to be worried about. It's been tough for him to hold up in college, so now you're going to add more games, more physicality. The game is faster. It's just
I don't know if
that's going to take some getting used to.
I don't know if you have him running a ton of routes necessarily. Yeah, he's a bit of a. First of all, start him at cornerback, have him return punts, and then use him as like Deion as a gadget player in offense. I just think that he answers a lot of things. But forget, they need a big guy up front, too. I love Mason Graham in Michigan. You watch him play, it's like, what is it? He's like a pro playing with kids. I think there are a lot of choices here in Dallas.
So Dallas losing 34-10 to the Texans last night wasn't the only thing that was memorable, notable. About 2 hours before the game kicked off, a piece of sheet metal fell off the roof at Jerry World. Luckily, didn't hit anybody because that would have been a disaster. Here's Jerry Jones on the situation.
Apparently did a little damage, and then when we tried to open it up, the winds got underneath the roof at that time, and so everybody agreed that it did some damage, but if you check around, Dallas had wind gusts all afternoon. I think they call them wind bursts or something like that.
Okay, here's my question about this, right? The stadium has become like a character in this season because nobody knows where the sun is going to be, and the sun is in CeeDee Lamb's eyes, and he wants the shades up and all of that stuff. They don't generally open up the roof too often, do they?
It hasn't been open since 2022.
Shut up about the sun. Shut up about the sun.
So it hasn't been open since 2022. So on a day when there's 20 mile per hour wind bursts, this is the day they're like, you know what? Let's put the top down on this thing. Like, why? Whose decision was this? And by the way, it could have had a really disastrous ending.
My understanding is that the wind, when they opened the roof, the wind started to really fly. Was it already 20 miles per hour outside?
Well, that's what Jerry's saying. They knew the gusts were coming up to 20 miles an hour.
Oh, okay.
So this is the
I thought
day
it was
you're
because
like,
they opened so what? Yeah, I have no idea.
It seems a silly idea. Why don't you wait till it's nice and calm?
They're also really bad when the roof is open. I don't know if you believe in the karma that they're 2-5 or something in the last 5 years. So yeah, I have no idea. I don't have the slightest idea. But that's the least of their problems.
No, but
honestly,
like,
that's a nice distraction.
Honestly, it's the least of their problems. It could have been the biggest of their problems.
Yeah.
Had it nicked somebody or worse.
Right. Unless someone died. I mean, hey, you want to start talking about problems. Let's talk about the running back room. As long as someone's not seriously injured.
Only Perloff.
Like, you're telling me, like, you got to, like, Rico Dowdle, that's your guy?
Yes.
That's that.
And our guy Deuce Vaughn, who Joe Buck last night, I don't know if he meant it to be this much of a burn. Did you guys see this part when Deuce Vaughn goes in the huddle? We love Deuce Vaughn. He came on the show.
Yeah,
during the
he
draft.
said that is not an illusion or something.
He goes, do not adjust your television set. He's really just 5'5". Ouch.
I didn't think that was that bad a burn. That was whatever. Deuce has heard that his whole life. He was just as good as Rico Dowdle. I mean, neither of those guys could run. And then the funny thing was the Cowboys just gave up on the run game. They had Cooper Rush throw 56 passes.
I know.
That's amazing.
That's not what you want.
Cooper Rush, except for all the missed passes, was really good.
Brilliant. 855-212-4227. What do you think of my idea about Shedeur Sanders to the Cowboys? If they're picking top 5, gotta look at it. Gotta.
Oh, how about Cam Ward to the Cowboys?
Is that a yes or a no, EJ?
It's just the Cam Ward selly, just because I got to do it every time. Every time we talk about him.
How about Quinn Ewers?
I would be so mad if he went to the Cowboys.
How about Quinn Ewers in the second round to the Cowboys?
I like that better.
Dallas native, bring him home. I mean, Quinn Ewers, does he look like a first-round quarterback to anybody? Like, if you didn't know that he was a number 1 recruit?
I was going to say, does he look like an NFL quarterback, though?
He was coming into the year. He was everyone's mock draft number 1. I mean, he was like Trevor Lawrence in high school. He was a big deal. So, yeah, I don't know. You squint and you see it. That's why second round. You want a developmental quarterback. Don't take Shedeur. Take Quinn Ewers.
855-212-4227. Rich is in Chicago, wants to talk about college coaches. Before we were talking about, is Brian Kelly on the hot seat after LSU has lost 3 in a row and 4 overall on the season? Hey, Rich, what's up?
Hey, guys. Hey, earlier when you were talking about kind of like all the coaching firings at the college level.
Yeah.
I think, and you had mentioned the old 3-year rule. I think that held up a long time ago until you had the transfer portal. And I was telling your producer, the thing that's changed is you can turn something around now if you're effective in the transfer portal in college in anywhere from 12 to 18 months. I mean, you got like Deion Sanders has had, that's like a revolving door at an airport in Boulder with the amount of people he's had in 2 years. Look what they've done. And the people that are ineffective in the transfer portal is going to be reflective on why the coaches are getting launched. They're not getting 3 years because you're not going to turn a program around with predominant high school recruits in short term.
Yep.
And if you're going to build a program long term, I don't think the ADs and the presidents of the schools are giving these guys enough time to try to do that. Because typically a lot of these guys that are getting fired are inheriting a program that's a losing program or they wouldn't have gotten a job. So, you take the Temple job or a marginal job, Rice, you think you're going to turn anything around in 3 years? I don't think so. So I think the transfer portal has become a coach killer.
Yeah, I mean, Rich, it's a good point because here you really got to be in sync with your AD, with your athletic director, if you are going to recruit high school. Because those guys, or you got to be Dabo Sweeney and just say, we're not using the portal, but
we have proof of concept in Clemson, and it ain't working.
That doesn't work, but they might be playing for the ACC title. But I think what is really dooming Brian Kelly is I think when you get to the really top echelon programs, they want you to do both. I think they want you, the expectation is that you are going to be recruiting high school, and that's going to be your base. And the transfer portal is going to be like free agency in the pro level, right? We're going to supplement with free agency. And maybe you go there for, a star wide receiver, or maybe you go there for a big defensive end or a big, but the offensive linemen, a lot of the defensive linemen, a lot of those guys are going to still be the guys you recruit out of high school.
I don't know. It feels like I look at the top teams and maybe I'm focused on quarterback, but everybody is a transfer quarterback basically.
Garrett Nussmeier wasn't. I mean, he was in the program.
I said, sorry. Oh, actually, no, there's one. Drew Aller.
Jalen Milroe wasn't.
Drew Aller at Penn State. Yeah, but the top.
Jackson Dart.
Yeah, but the top five said the top four teams, and I was wrong. I mean, obviously Oregon, obviously Ohio State, obviously Texas was an early on transfer. I just think that it just makes sense. Like Oregon seems like the model. Just bringing in an old quarterback. I mean, Dylan Gabriel gives him a major advantage over it. Like Nico I in Tennessee, he is so raw. He's just not ready to go.
Right, but last year, Brian Kelly did have a transfer quarterback, Jaden Daniels. It went as good as it could possibly go. You won the Heisman, but you didn't make any waves in terms of the college football playoff. And I know it was only 4 teams then, but they're not going to make it now with 12 teams. And this was their handpicked guy, Nussmeier. They wanted to keep him there. They could have gone into the portal, I'm sure, and gotten a quarterback, but they like Nussmeier.
It just seems like especially a quarterback, it just seems like the transfers rule the day because you need to get that. It's like a second contract, your NIL. So say you have a good freshman year, then you want to go back into the market, at least push the price up on your own thing. Although they're getting paid so much to come in. These like 5-star recruits are getting $2 million to go to these schools. I mean, if DJ Lagway graduates from Florida or I'd be shocked. I'd be shocked. Maybe it'll happen, but it just seems so tenuous.
The portal being a coach killer, 855-212-4227. I also just think LSU is the type of place where you have expectations. Whether we're under the old rules, whether we're under the new ones, the fan base there doesn't want to lose 3 in a row. They don't feel like they should. And I've got to be honest, I was kind of surprised that they lost to Florida. I know it was on the road.
Nobody should lose to Florida.
Yeah, but you watched that game, by the way, and you're totally right. You could tell from 5 moments into the game, like, oh, wow, Florida is coming here to play. Like, they look like the better team. I don't understand what happened either.
That's an indictment on LSU. This is why Brian Kelly's answering these major questions today.
Felt like they quit after the Alabama loss. I felt like
that was embarrassing, too.
Ended their season.
And losing to Bama on your home field doesn't help. And getting run on by Texas A&M and just being shown that you haven't fixed the defense. And USC beat you in the first game of the year. What happened to them? USC is a disaster. 855-212-4227. Okay, lots more to do today. Want to hear from you on the Dallas Cowboys. Basically, their season basically being over. Got a lot more college stuff for you as well. It's Maggie Perloff.
All right, sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening, because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of Shields, Guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Perloff just said something to me in the break before he walked out. Get back to your calls on college football in a second. You're thinking about Indiana this weekend, taking the Hoosiers over the Buckeyes. It's going to be a huge game.
What I said was we need to jump on the Indiana bandwagon just in case, because they're an impossible team not to like, right? I mean, this coach Cignetti is amazing. Their quarterback is a great story. Like everything about them is lovable. And by the way, are we sure? That's the real debate. Are we sure they're out of it if they lose this game?
No, I think they're in it even if they lose
Yeah,
this game because
so-
they were ranked so high.
So I don't even need them to win this game. And I do think it's an interesting game. Ohio State has played sort of up and down to their opponent.
That's true.
Do we have any idea how good Ohio State is?
So the spread on this game is 13.
13, okay.
It's growing. I believe we thought it opened maybe at 10.5.
I mean, Indiana looked, what was their last game, Michigan? They looked really bad in that game. I will give you that. But still, like Indiana football, this is exciting stuff. It feels like a kind of like a Cinderella team that everyone can get behind.
Well, what makes you think we haven't been on the bandwagon this whole time?
Can we look at the show logs? How many times have we broken down the Indiana Hoosiers football team?
Well, we talk about it when the college football playoff rankings come out, but I think most of us feel like they shouldn't be as high as they are. And I think you're kind of leading the way on that one.
No. They don't bother me. It's Penn State. Why is Penn State so high?
Well, I mean, Indiana hasn't played anyone even close to the caliber that Penn State has. They will this week against Ohio State, but up until this point, they haven't played anybody. Just like Penn State hasn't played
at least they're
anybody.
undefeated. Like what? I don't understand. Like Penn State is a loss.
No, I get it, but do you think Indiana's beating Ohio State?
No, I think it's. I mean, listen. I think they have a shot. But that being said, like Penn State is not better than Alabama or Georgia. And anybody who would pick Penn State over Alabama or Georgia, I'd question your sanity. Like what on earth do you see in Penn State and James Franklin that deserves to be like several spots higher than Georgia and Alabama?
Oh, I agree with you. But I also don't think that Indiana, and I all due respect to the undefeated record, I do not think Indiana is on the same level as Georgia or Alabama either, and it's ranked higher than both of those teams as well.
Yeah, I just think for me, the one that stands out is Penn State, and then Notre Dame too. I don't know, like what's Notre Dame done? Who have they beaten?
They beat Texas A&M.
I just generally think quality wins should mean more than losses and quality losses, and I think the committee sees it the other way. They don't care at all about strength of schedule. At the end of the day, it will not be a factor at all. Like it'll mean 0%, and that means that nobody's going to schedule anybody. And we're going to have this September 23rd is always going to be a boring weekend of college football.
Let's go to the Big Easy, our friend Big Easy. Hey, Big.
Good morning, Maggie and Perloff. I just wanted to talk to you real quick about LSU.
Yeah, about Brian Kelly and whether or not he's on the hot seat after 3 straight losses.
Right. Well, he is definitely on the hot seat because I got friends that are in the program, and the AD is used to be Texas A&M's AD, and he's the one that gave that big contract to you boy. I forgot his name.
Jimbo. Scott
Jimbo.
Woodward is his name.
Yes, and he's learned from that, and he didn't give. He gave a nice contract to him, but nothing like that. And
I thought Kelly had a big long one.
It was 6 or 7 years, but it's not
Curved to the left.
And yes, and the buyout after this year is not that bad. Remember,
wait. How long is this?
No. Wait, Big Easy. Hold on one second. Perloff's got me all off track. Manny just peeked his head out like we're all children here. But the buyout, it's pretty significant. It's $67 million, and he would get 90% of that.
He signed a 10-year contract. He's under contract till 2031, Big Easy.
Yes, but that 67, they made a documentary about my team. Out of the hundreds of colleges, they can afford that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they could. If they wanted to, they could definitely afford the buyout.
Right.
But he didn't learn his lesson as AD. I think Brian Kelly was one of the longest, again, richest, most vibrant contracts of all time. Like, what are you talking, Big Easy? I'm going to be asked, like, seriously.
Vibrant.
They're stuck with Brian Kelly because they made it a way too longer-term contract.
It's still only 60-something million. That's not
left.
a big deal.
I mean, they've already spent 3 years on this project.
Well, it's the same thing like with Jimbo, Big Easy. You're right. Jimbo Fisher, the buyout was over $70 million to get him out of there. And listen, they might say it's worth it. They got Mike Elko, and, things are back on track.
Sort of.
Anyway, I'm enjoying the show. I love both of you, and I'll talk to you again at another time.
Big Easy, keep calling us about this LSU stuff because we are fascinated. I am about what Brian Kelly's future is right now.
He's really good at recruiting high school guys, right? Like he's got top classes coming in. They are young, so we could at least make an argument. I don't know, like who are you going to with not Brian Kelly? You going to bring Ed O back? That'd be fun.
But you're paying him through 2025.
if that's
they don't
the
give you a
case,
discount.
Yeah, I mean, are you bringing Lincoln Riley gets fired at USC? You're bringing him to LSU? I'm not sure what exactly they do that's better than Brian Kelly. I'm not a huge fan of Brian Kelly. I don't like the way he treats his players. But that being said, he was 10-3 in the SEC last year. I think he's done a better job than some do because I don't expect that team. You have Georgia and Alabama in that conference. Like Brian Kelly should have known that when he left Notre Dame.
I think people at LSU would expect to make a 12-team college football playoff, even with Alabama and Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't ranked in the top 12 coming into the year, so they should have known.
Randy is in Indiana, wants to talk about Indiana Hoosiers football. Hey, Randy.
How you doing? Good morning.
What's up?
Well, first of all, you need to get on the bandwagon because they are going to beat Ohio State. Doug, I know you are on the basketball. I didn't know about Indiana football yet, but they're going to beat Ohio State this weekend.
What makes you so confident?
I mean, Ohio State, like you were saying earlier, what's Ohio State done? Who is Ohio State? They're not. I mean, they got a good receiver, maybe some good defensive guys, but they're not that good this year. And Indiana is going to show them that on Saturday.
Man, Randy, how excited are people in Indiana for this game?
It's ridiculous. I'm 45 years old. I've never been excited about Indiana football. I've been a fan my whole life, but it's just been torturous. So it's amazing. The state has really rallied behind them. They just signed him to 2032. Big money, life-changing. It's awesome. And Coach Cignetti is the real deal. And that's why NIL, transfer portal, you're saying it's a coach killer. Well, right here proves if you're doing the right thing, it is not. It is actually a saver.
You know, Randy, it's so funny because when I saw that Curt Cignetti got the 8-year contract extension, or it was massive, right? But to be honest, I was a little surprised. And I think one of the reasons that Indiana, because I was surprised that he wouldn't have held out to try to get, maybe one of these bigger, higher-paying jobs.
I was like, okay, you're not surprised from the Indiana angle. You're surprised from the coach. Yeah, but don't a lot of coaches do this, sign a big deal, and then leave in a year?
Well, he might do that. I don't know. But I also think that we're seeing this trend now. And Randy, thank you for the call, and good luck to your Hoosiers. This was a guy who's like a more established, kind of older dude. How old is Curt Cignetti? Isn't he in his 50s or 60s?
Established 50s. How? Like, what do you mean?
Like, he's older in his career. So, maybe he wants to build something at Indiana and stay at Indiana. And it's possible. Maybe he does want to. He likes the lifestyle. Maybe he likes the family. Who knows what it is, right?
63 years old.
He's 63. Like, maybe you're kind of done ladder climbing in a way. You're like, hey, I'm in a big conference. I've got a nice life. I'm putting together an all-time season. I'm a legend here now. And maybe I don't need to be constantly looking now for what's the better, bigger thing. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. By the way, I think he just summed up Ohio State. Like, they have a great wide receiver and some names on defense, and that's it. Like, what is it? I think that's one of the great, like, who is this Ohio State team? I don't think anyone trusts him. I mean, like, right? Is there anything else to say about, like, is there a notable, sometimes they can run, sometimes they're terrible at running. They have superstars on defense who show up occasionally. They're a very odd team.
Yeah, they should be able to run the ball much better. They got 2 running backs who are going to the NFL.
Yeah, but when their offensive line got hurt, like, they became one of the least efficient running teams in the entire country. So, and now I think they figured out a way to get a new lineman in there. I heard somebody talk about that. So they've been incredibly disappointing, actually, and still only have 1 loss.
Well, they're lucky that Michigan's down. Andrew Bagoosh is here with some headlines.
And these ones are sponsored by PXG Golf. Staying long and straight on the golf course is easier than ever with PXG clubs. Take your game to a whole new level and save $10 per club at pxg.com/football using code football. Deeper. The moaning behind that is what I don't remember.
I don't either, and it's me.
I actually think I have a long cut of that in here somewhere.
I would love to hear the long version of that.
Are you sure?
Yes. I do need the context of where all of that comes from. While we wait, here's a play on the short list of those perfectly summing up the Cowboys season.
Drops back. Hit from behind. Ball jarred free. But then it was picked up, and then it was knocked free again by Petrie. And then picked up on the play by Barnett, who went from the 20 to the 10 to the 5. Houston has scored on a fumble recovery touchdown by Derek Barnett.
Kevin Harlan on Westwood 1. Cooper Rush, playing for the injured Dak Prescott, was strip-sacked. Dallas O-lineman Tyler Guyton came to the rescue, recovering the fumble, but tried to run instead of just falling down. So Jalen Petrie stripped him, and Barnett scored on the 28-yard scamper. This all happening early fourth quarter when the Cowboys were still within reach of the Texans. Houston head coach DeMeco Ryans says the sequence changed the game.
It flipped the momentum. It got everybody juiced up on the sideline. It was just a huge play. Him get the strip sack, and for Petrie to come up and force the ball out. Like, when something we talk about and we harp on is attacking the football, and we talked about this week, not just attacking it, going to score.
Joe Mixon's third rushing score of the night followed and capped the 34-10 victory. Dallas 3-7 overall, 0-5 at home, and the first team ever to trail by 20-plus points in 6 straight home games. The Texans, meanwhile, improved to 7-4. They maintain a 2-game lead, plus a season sweep on the Colts atop the AFC South. Manny, back to you. You've never been deeper.
That's what I got for you.
Doesn't clear it up.
No, it doesn't.
Never
Maggie, been deeper.
I don't know what we were talking about.
Feels edited. It says there's AI involved here.
Hey, if there's any doubts about it, ask Peter Bellotti.
Oh, that's a Bellotti cut?
I mean, it's been here for quite some time.
You've never been deeper.
What could that have been from?
I feel like it had to be the bet.
Deeper.
I'm thinking the chili bet.
Oh.
Yes.
I think Bogus is doing
That's
play-by-play.
Perloff
and
eating chili with no hands.
And you reacting to the
Me
gross.
reacting to how gross it looked, and you doing the play-by-play. There we go.
Yeah.
Have spaghetti. He has found the pasta.
That was the first week we were doing mornings.
We are a morning show. We might want to take the edited version out of our rotation. People are in their cars with kids. People, please.
Okay.
I'm blushing here.
You want to go back to your Brian Kelly comments?
Oh, come on, Bogus. Would you grow up? You're going to hark on this for the next 3.5 months.
Probably.
I mean, you
What's
were
his
upset
buyout
when,
again?
When you said somebody almost got their eye poked out and Maggie started giggling like a school kid. You're like, what is going on here? You're being worse.
Wait, hold on, though. We should remember back to when Perloff did eat the Skyline chili, because that really was one of the top moments of our show, in the history of the show.
A big, long one. Curve to the left.
That's from 5 minutes ago. That's not one of the great moments of this show all time. It literally happened.
That's edited, right, Perloff?
That's edited. I was factually correct, at least. Curve to the left. Big Easy called in and said Brian Kelly's on a short-term deal. It was one of the longest deals, and it still sounds odd.
Yeah, but no one's ever called a buyout girthy before.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't think that's a word, by the way.
Oh, it's a word.
I don't think so.
Mr. Oxford English Dictionary over here. Oh, man. What were you saying?
I don't remember. Deeper. Not that. Oh, the Knicks. They handled the Wizards last night, 134-106. But, my friends, is this empire about to crumble before it actually rules the basketball world? The NBA has been looking at the timing of the Knicks promoting Rick Brunson to lead assistant over the summer, because that promotion coincided with Jalen Brunson taking less than market value to re-sign with the Knicks. Was there some kind of side deal? The holier-than-thou Knickerbockers issuing a statement last night to call this speculation offensive and harassment.
This crap is crap.
It's a witch hunt.
It's a
witch hunt, I say.
Protest too much. And we've been doing this in basketball going back to AAU in high school, haven't we? If you don't hire somebody's family member, are you even trying?
This was the original NIL.
What are we doing here? Jalen Brunson passed up like $100 million. He can't make it up in a Rick Brunson assistant coach contract. What are we talking about?
It's not about dollars for dollars. It's about giving his dad a better job.
Wait, the real impropriety came when they hired Rick Brunson just right before they signed Jalen to the regular contract.
Right, they already investigated that. So what are we doing? NBA? Adam Silver?
Adam Silver ain't got nothing else to do, man.
No, I think it's a straight up hire, just like Bronny was a straight up draft pick by the Lakers.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah, sometimes you just look at the resume and you're like, we got to hire this guy.
Blind
just like
resume.
when I remember LaSalle University of Philadelphia College hired Joe Bryant right when Kobe Bryant was getting recruited. It was weird.
That's so funny.
Yeah. As you said, that's happened every single recruit ever, their dad gets hired.
Oh my gosh, when I was covering high school sports when I was first starting out in this business, the amount of guys I would see, both football and basketball, all of a sudden it's like, wow, they got hired at Kentucky? It's like, yep.
I love it when it doesn't work. Those few times where it doesn't work, that's happened a bunch, where they hire a uncle or dad and the kid still goes somewhere else.
Or the AAU coach.
That happens a lot, too.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
How about when the Cavs hired Byron Scott to coach LeBron James and he left? And Byron Scott was left with the worst team in the league right before Miami.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's like, LeBron loves Byron Scott. Let's bring that guy in here.
Wait, can we go back to LaSalle thinking that Kobe was going to play college at all, but for them particularly?
Nice try, Explorers.
No, I mean, LaSalle, the 3 finalists were Duke, North Carolina, and LaSalle, I think.
Charlotte Hornets it is.
Joe Bryant went to LaSalle.
He literally resigned like the day Kobe got drafted.
Did he really?
I'm looking at his resume, yeah.
Yeah, you can't take that money.
Resigned in May of 1996. Kobe was drafted that June.
I think LaSalle had to take their shot, Bogus.
When was he hired? In March of
93. So Kobe's a high schooler, dominating probably. And they're like, ooh, Joe Bryant, come on down.
Joe Bryant, great LaSalle explorer himself.
Tim Legler, right?
Remember Lionel Simmons? I think all-time leading NCAA scorer was out of LaSalle. And Michael Brooks.
And
this is a Philadelphia school. I can tell you way too much about this.
My brother went there.
Your brother went to LaSalle?
Yes.
Company, yes.
The big freezer. Yeah.
By the way, I never know what the company, like Qualcomm, I still don't know what they do.
No clue.
I think the comm is for communications.
Communications?
I still
What
don't
do you
know
mean?
what SAP is.
SAP software was at a friend who worked there. But wait, when you say communications, what do they actually do?
Phone and internet, Qualcomm, I think.
Oh, I think I do.
Phone and internet? Like you buy your phone from them?
I think it's like Sprint Field. I think Qualcomm is a communications company.
Like I think our phone lines in theory could be Qualcomm.
Yeah, maybe like business communications.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Got your answer.
I guess so.
Now, what does Barclays do? I have no clue.
But like, I could go to T-Mobile and buy a phone. I can't go to Qualcomm and buy a phone. So it's just business.
I think Barclays is finance.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
That I know. They're famous British, right?
I think so.
This is what you're here for, man. And you should know all this.
We're all wrong.
No, just the
Qualcomm is
names.
Computer background. Like I thought it was like a computer network thing, like Cisco.
We're not all wrong. You were the one that answered. Qualcomm is what?
Qualcomm it creates semiconductors, software, and services related to wireless technology. It owns patents critical to 5G, 4G, and other whatever those are networks.
That's not so far off.
Yeah. Well, semiconductors threw me off, and that was the first word I saw.
Right. No, yeah, no, I'm taking that back. We were right.
Yeah. No, we were.
You
I
said they
jumped
were
the
like
gun.
Sprint.
You did not say that. I was like, you said that.
Is
I
Sprint
did.
even a company still?
Listen, you had zero knowledge.
No,
we were
I-
like 7
I
tenths of
knew-
the way there.
I
and we
knew they
still
were-
win. You're like, what's a Qualcomm?
Whatever. At least I didn't pretend to know, like you.
I knew.
I thought it was some of that stuff that pretended to cure COVID. What was it? Quinine? Qualine?
Oh, God.
So, one of those things?
Hydrochloroquine. Yeah, some one of those things.
I just assumed-
Hydroxychloroquine, something like that.
I assume that's what it was. 855-212-4227. Okay, we still have a lot to do, including a side hustle for one of our favorite coaches.
Curve to the left.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Daily. Do you believe that? Deion. You believe that?
Deion Sanders, Colorado Buffaloes. 3:30 kickoff time for them this week, I saw, for Colorado. Not bad.
This is really the big test, right? Like, I feel like, knock on wood, if they get by this game.
They're at Kansas.
Yeah, if they get by this game, then they're smooth sailing to the conference title game.
So they are a 3-point favorite on the road against Kansas. So it's going to be a tight one. But coaching football, apparently not the only thing that Deion Sanders is doing these days. Deion Sanders also has a brand new talk show. It's called I Got Time Today.
Here's how Deion Sanders locks in for his new talk show, We Got Time Today.
All right, baby, this is your moment. You remember the blood, sweat, and the tears, the early morning workouts, and the late night preparation.
Is he gonna do a pep talk every week?
All the dreams, the times we came up short, it all prepared you for this. It's on.
Oh,
no.
Okay. So, First episode's coming out this month. It will feature 21-hour episodes each Tuesday, and they come out weekly, and it's going to be on Tubi, which I can no longer hear without the Cat Williams voice from
Netflix or Tubi?
The Shannon Sharp interview.
So wait, I'm sorry, can you clear that?
Yeah.
21-hour episodes or
Yes.
21-hour episodes on Tuesday? Are we going to get 21 hours of Deion in a row?
Yeah, it's a binge. 21-hour episodes.
So he's competing. It's going to be guest-driven, I assume, right?
Yeah, so it's also with, is it Roxy Diaz? Roxy Diaz. She's an award-winning media personality. And they
are you a PR person?
I'm reading the press release. And no, it's just like, when did they do this?
Well, I was about to say, is he competing with Shedeur for guests? Because Shedeur has a high-end podcast where he's getting these big-name guests.
At Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah. That's just the tip of the iceberg. He gets really famous people on that podcast. So where are they fitting in game planning?
Take your Zlatan and shove it, Manny.
No, I like that. I'm a huge Zlatan fan. You can't get any bigger than me. But Shedeur is, what's this called? Two legends talking? So this is crazy. What, does Shiloh have a show?
They all have shows.
When are they actually practicing football games?
Shiloh's show should be called Unnecessary Roughness.
There's actually there's nothing but the show. There's no real life. It's just all the show. The cameras never stop rolling. Meanwhile, all right, so they've got, they're going to laugh, debate, inspire, and most importantly, talk life.
Love it. Most importantly. By the way, you bring up a good point. Everyone's mad at the Lakers for drafting Bronny. Whoever drafts Shedeur is clearly drafting Shiloh, too. That is 100% part of the package. We all know that. Is there any doubt about that, Maggie?
No, this is a Sylvester Stallone, Frank Stallone situation. He's got to come.
They should just give the opponent 30 yards for personal foul penalties just before the game starts.
I don't think
personal fouls.
It's like a debit card and just like keep taking
Yeah,
out
here's
of it.
30 yards, start the game. All right, let's play.
I don't think NFL coaches hate the way Shiloh plays. He's an old school headhunter.
Roger Goodell will hate him.
Yeah, that's true. But the coach will be like, ooh, like the cut of that guy's jib.
All right, there you go. Deion coaching and a talk show. Thank you, EJ Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez, Alex in the back. Nice job today. To Andrew Bogish, Andrew Kaplan, Guidos, the Coffee Drinkers, callers. You guys are on point. See you tomorrow.
A big, long one.